I pressed him for an answer. What exactly? He rolled his eyes and muttered something for years. She said she didn't even have the desire to kiss those guys. Do you really think Baihao is that charming? He's obviously just provoking you. My face turned even redder. I suddenly remembered that Jiu Kingen seemed to have said that too before. Could it be true? Han Jingnian looked totally disgusted. That man is just trying to piss you off. You're way too easy to fool. I quickly explained. I'm not mad about that. Who she dates has nothing to do with me. I'm mad because she brought someone back to the apartment. Han Jingnian stroked his chin and examined me. That's a lie too, huh? Even if Jiu Kingen wanted to get under your skin, she wouldn't bring a guy home. I slapped the table with a cold face. If she dares, I'll burn that apartment down. Han Jingnian burst into laughter. And you say you're not jealous? If you rush over and confront her now, you lose. Arguing in front of the whole school, that's just putting on a show for everyone. I thought about it. Yeah, that would be embarrassing. I mumbled. So what should I do? He grinned like a devil. Ask her to lunch at noon. Expose that guy's lies right on the spot. Just imagine the satisfaction of slapping her with the truth. At the cafeteria at noon, Jiu Kingen and Baihao had just walked in when Han Jingnian called them loudly. We forgot our meal cards. Treat us to lunch. Jiu Kingen glanced at me, smiling casually. Sure. The sight of the four of us sitting together stunned everyone. The campus belles knew Flame and Old Flame at the same table. The whole cafeteria craned their necks to sneak a peek. When it was time to order, Why asked what we wanted. Black pepper beef rice. Han Jingnian nudged me with his elbow. What about you? I deliberately replied coolly. Same from me. Jiu Kingen suddenly raised an eyebrow. Don't you hate black pepper the most? I glared back fiercely. I like it now. So what? Jiu Kingen smiled indifferently. Alright, whatever you say. Baihao stood to the side, his smile starting to look forced. He was waiting for the school bell to ask him what he wanted to eat. But she clearly had no such intention. He had no choice but to speak up. I'll have chicken cutlet rice. Why politely asked Jiu Kingen. What would you like to eat? School bell. Braised eggplant. She answered casually. Soon, Wai brought back meals for the four of us, then went to eat by herself nearby. I took a bite of the black pepper beef and immediately frowned. I had no appetite at all and simply put down my chopsticks. That's when Baihao thoughtfully cut a piece of his chicken cutlet. School bell, try this. Jiu Kingen ignored him completely. She suddenly took away my tray and pushed her braised eggplant toward me. If you don't like it, don't force it. She gave me a side eye in disdain. This is what you usually love to eat. Han Jinlian looked at us, smiling suggestively. Are you just showing off your love? Then he turned to look at Baihao's face, which was pale then flushed. What a show. Suddenly, he turned to Jiu Kingen and said, School bell, I heard you spent the night with your boyfriend last night. He gave me a knowing wink as he spoke. I responded instantly, pretending to be angry and questioning. Did you bring him back to our apartment? As soon as I said that, Baihao's face turned ghostly pale. The nearby students eavesdropping were all shocked. Our apartment? Jiang Yichen and the school bell lived together. Jiu Kingen frowned. No, I didn't. She looked at Baihao coldly. Did you say that? Baihao panicked and waved his hands. No, not me. I never said that. Han Jingnian crossed his arms and sneered. Now you're scared, huh? Why didn't you think of the consequences when you were lying? Baihao, teary-eyed, grabbed Jiu Kingen. School bell Jiu. You have to believe me, he even glared at me resentfully. I just said I was with the school bell last night. I didn't say we went to his place. Don't frame me. I froze for a moment, then realized. Baihao never actually said those exact words. He just deliberately misled everyone into thinking that. This guy is really cunning. But what got to me was what he asked Jiu Kingen earlier. Did you really spend the night with her? Baihao quickly cut in. Yeah. It's absolutely true. In front of the school bell, I wouldn't dare lie. Jiu Kingen looked at me, saying nothing in silence, as if she agreed by default. I took a deep breath and forced a smile. I'm full. Thanks for the meal. Then I stood up and left. Han Jingnian looked shocked, angrily glaring at Jiu Kingen. How could you treat Yichen like that? He said, then quickly ran after me. Jiu Kingen sat still, expressionless. No emotions could be seen on her face. After school in the afternoon, Jiu Kingen had just gotten back to the apartment and was about to shut the door when I appeared just in time. I reached out and stopped the door. Wait. Noticing Jiu Kingen's gaze, I raised my chin. Aren't you happy I'm back? I walked into the house naturally, changed into slippers, threw my backpack onto the sofa, and went in. It's just one night at someone else's place. Didn't say I wasn't coming back. I smiled brightly, as if nothing had ever happened. Jiu King stared at my smile, but her gaze was frighteningly cold. I walked past her and went to the bathroom to wash my face, completely ignoring her strange look and the weird tension in the air. I came out after washing my face. I stretched and opened the fridge. Want something to drink? Jiu King finally exploded. She grabbed my hand angrily. She shouted furiously, Jiang Yichin, do you really not care at all? Do you seriously not care about me and by how? I looked at her with a completely indifferent face. That made Jiu King even more annoyed. Here we go again. She couldn't stand this kind of attitude from me. Suddenly, I changed my tone. I'm sorry, I said. She was stunned. I spoke sincerely. It was my fault. I never properly apologized for lying to you before. And Muxue, she's really just an ordinary friend. In my heart, of course you're the most important. No one compares to you. Kingen, don't be mad. I don't like arguing or giving each other the cold shoulder. I just want us to be happy again like before. Jiu King let out a deep sigh. Hearing no one compares to you totally melted her. She softened completely. She let go of my hand, turned around and pulled me into her arms. Dummy. Hearing the warmth in her voice, I knew she wasn't mad anymore. Jiu King asked softly, why do you look so tired? I gave a bitter smile. Arguing. It's exhausting. Let's not argue anymore, okay? She ruffled my hair. Wasn't it you who lied first? You started it, remember? I muttered quietly. I already apologized. I won't lie to you anymore. But you can't be too overbearing either. I'm an independent person too. Then suddenly it hit me. If we really got married, would I be controlled every second? But that thought only lasted a second. After all, marriage is still far off. Jiu King frowned at me. Can't you be more careful choosing your friends? Even someone like Muxue, you actually hung out with her? Aren't you just deliberately going against me? I turned my face away, not wanting to continue this topic. Suddenly, something hit me. I looked up and glared at her. What's going on between you and Bai Hao? Were you really with him last night? Jiu King smirked slightly. Jealous. My ears burned. Who's jealous? I snapped. I just think you're pathetic. Breaking up is one thing, but going back to someone like that. Jiu King lazily leaned back on the sofa. Who said I got back with him? I froze. Then last night. It was just a friend gathering. Ran into him by coincidence, she said vaguely. She was clearly avoiding the topic. To make me jealous on purpose. I glared at her angrily. Then why did you transfer him to Class S? Just seeing her smug face annoys me. Jiu King smiled slightly. Did he bother you? When I didn't say anything, she said casually, if you don't like it, I'll transfer him out. Which class do you want him in? That actually made me feel unexpectedly better. Just like I told Bai Hao, Jiu King can kick him out anytime. That evening, there was a dinner at Haiting Club. Han Jingnian and the others all came. Song Qian even brought a friend. The moment she entered, she rushed over. Young Master Jiang, I missed you. She spread her arms to hug me. Jiu King reached out and blocked her. She said coldly, you're here to eat, not to take advantage. Song Qian laughed and teased. Anyone who didn't know would think Yichin is your husband. Jiu King lazily rested her arm on the back of my chair. Yichin is my husband. So what? Song Qian was already used to her domineering attitude and didn't take it seriously, but the friend beside her didn't know her. She asked in surprise under her breath, is he really Jiang Yichin? Jiu King's actual boyfriend. What's his background? Song Qian hadn't been to school recently, so she casually replied, it's normal if you don't know him, but you've at least heard of the Jiang family, right? Her friend gasped. The Jiang family? Song Qian only knew that I was the only son of the Jiang family. She lowered her voice. Everyone in City A knows about the four great families, but few know. There's also a hidden wealthy Jiang family. The Jiang family's assets are mostly overseas. Only the top elite circles have access to them. She patted her friend's shoulder. It's a secret. Don't spread it around. Then she couldn't help but sigh. Do you know what school Yichin went to in the US? That elite aristocratic academy. The kind that money alone can't get you into. My family tried so many ways to get me in, but the Jiang family made it happen easily. Jiu King suddenly called out to her. With a mischievous smile on her face, Song Qian, come help me with something at school tomorrow. Seeing her devilish grin, Song Qian got excited. What kind of help? Jiu King swirled her wine glass, her eyes gleaming like a king's. something very interesting. The next morning, outside Shandi Academy, students were arriving like any normal day, when suddenly a row of luxury cars blinded them. Lamborghini, BMW, Maybach, Bugatti, all top-tier, limited edition models worth millions. The car fleet lined up perfectly at the school gate. Under the stunned gazes of the crowd, I stepped out of the car, surrounded by Jiu Kingen and the others. No one had ever seen such a scene. Jiu Kingen and Han Jingnian were heirs to two of the four great families. Song Qian was the mayor's daughter. Zhang Xian was the second young lady of the Zhang family. This group of high-born elites, handsome boys and beautiful girls walking together, paired with the grand gate of Shandi Academy, looked exactly like the Chinese version of Asterisk the Heir's Asterisk. Everyone stared in shock at the scene, and I, a nobody, was standing right between Jiu Kingen and Han Jingnian. Han Jingnian even affectionately had his arm around my shoulders. And what's even more over the top, Song Qian stepped past Jiu Kingen to greet me first, her face full of flattery. The students watching were stunned. What the heck is going on? Song Qian casually brushed her bangs. Wasn't that an epic entrance? Should have brought someone to record it. There won't be another chance like this, Han Jingnian said with a smile. Don't worry, someone definitely recorded it secretly. It'll be all over campus soon. I shook my head helplessly. Was this really necessary? It made me feel so uncomfortable. Jiu Kingen threw her arm around my shoulder. Giving you face, and you're not happy. This is a one-of-a-kind entrance at Shandi. I'm the general director. Our Jiang family has always kept a low profile. Still, I smiled at Jiu Kingen. It actually felt kind of nice. The jealous glares from the boys around us were practically drilling holes in me. As we neared the school building, I clapped my hands. Alright, that's enough. Let's split up. I'm buying lunch today. Meet at noon. Song Qian quickly added, young Master Jiang is treating. Then I want to go to a fancy restaurant. No cafeteria food. I waved my hand. Whatever you want. I'm heading to class first. I turned and walked into the school building alone. As soon as I stepped into the class as freshman classroom, the whole class turned to stare at me. I ignored them completely and walked straight to my seat. Bahao walked in with a gloomy face, clearly having seen what happened at the school gate. I remembered what Jiu Kingen said yesterday. You can pick whether he goes to Class A or Class F. A single sentence could change someone's fate. There's a huge difference between Class A and Class F. If a vain guy like Bai Hao got thrown into F class, well, even then, he still wouldn't leave Shandi Academy. After all, being a Shandi student is a golden ticket in high society. Interesting. His fate is actually in my hands now. The feeling of holding that power over someone is strangely satisfying. Bai Hao noticed I was looking at him and visibly stiffened. Just as he was about to speak, I cut him off. Can you shut up? Every time you open your mouth, it ruins people's appetite. His face instantly turned red. You're just relying on School Belle Gu's support. Wait till she's tired of you. I frowned irritably. His noise was making my ears hurt. One more word and I'll send you straight to Class F. Bai Hao instantly choked up. His expression was absolutely priceless. In the end, he could only turn away, pretending not to care. He looked like a defeated rooster. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Chi Mengyao turned around from the front seat, looking at me with a complicated expression. Who exactly are you? She originally thought I was just Jiu Kingen's childhood friend, but after this morning's events, she finally realized my identity wasn't that simple. Even the mayor's daughter, Song Qian, treated me with such respect. Just how terrifying is my real background? Chi Mengyao suddenly didn't dare to keep thinking. I asked, confused, what's up? She stared blankly at my face. That handsome face still wore an innocent smile. As if nothing had changed, she suddenly smiled with relief. Have you had breakfast? I've got a sandwich here. Wanna eat? I happily took it. Yes. Just like Han Jingnian said. The luxury entrance that morning was quickly filmed and turned into a video. It spread across the entire school. Even students from other schools found out. Ku, of course, saw it too. Bang. He slammed his phone into the wall. The phone shattered instantly. The maid stood there trembling, not knowing whether to pick it up or not. Ku's eyes were red with rage, his chest rising and falling sharply, like he was about to have an asthma attack. The maid was shaking with fear. She thought the last time was already his limit, but this time was even scarier. It was like she could see flames about to shoot out of the young master's head. Are you dead? Pick it up. Keiyu roared angrily. The maid rushed to pick it up. The phone was already into pieces. The screen was shattered beyond recognition. She handed it over. Keiyu grabbed the phone and smashed it against her head. It's broken. How can you use it? Get lost. You're pissing me off. The maid was hit on the forehead, collapsed to the floor, holding back tears. Keiyu shouted, Butler. The chubby butler came running, wiping sweat. Young master, what are your orders? Tell Kezan to come here. Immediately. Within 10 minutes. Not a second longer. 10 minutes later. Kezan appeared at the door. His eyes flickered, clearly aware of why Keiyu was furious. Keiyu threw the iPad at him. Didn't you say you'd take down Jiang Yichen? Why haven't you acted yet? Look how glorious he is now. Kezhan's face darkened. He had already seen the video, but what truly stabbed at him was the news of Bai Hao and Jiyu King getting back together the day before. It was common knowledge that school belle Jiyu never goes back to an ex. But Bai Hao somehow broke that rule. Kezhan clenched his fists. He believed he was 100 times better than Bai Hao. If Bai Hao could get back together, that thought wrapped around him like a venomous snake. He could beg hysterically if needed. I gave you money. I gave you people. You act today. I want Jiang Yichen to suffer worse than death. Kezhan suppressed his anger. Got it. But the cost might go over budget. Keiyu sneered coldly. What's money? Isn't that why your mother seduced my dad, for our money? Useless. Get it done already. Kezhan clenched his fist but submitted. I'm going. His voice was scarily calm. As the butler saw him out, she couldn't help but console him. Young master is just angry right now. Those words made Kezhan's eyes instantly well up. Thank you, Aunt Butler. He choked out. As he got into the car, his fingernails had already dug into his palms. The moment the door closed, Keiyu's furious yelling still echoed in his ears. Kezhan stared dead ahead at the luxurious villa. His eyes were bloodshot. Keiyu, you have everything. Family, friends, an enviable life. Why can't you spare a little for me? Thinking of Han Jingnian, his fists clenched so tight they turned white. They were the same age, but Han Jingnian was a young master of one of the great families, adored and admired, and he just an illegitimate child, the son of a mistress. Those words stabbed into his heart like knives. Why did Keiyu get to attend an elite academy, while he had to deal with people's moods in an ordinary high school? Meanwhile, at school, Jiyu Kingen and I were laughing and chatting. Let's go to Bamboo Garden for barbecue tonight. Han Jingnian had his arm around my shoulder. Everyone around looked at us with envy. Suddenly, I noticed Su Muxue walking alone, all by herself, a stark contrast to our lively group. I'm going to say hi. Before Jiyu Kingen could respond, I had already run over. Jiyu Kingen's face darkened, but she calmed a bit knowing I told her first. She mumbled, I'm not petty, but still hurried after me. I suddenly turned around and ran right into her. The two of us stood frozen like statues. The scene looked unintentionally comical. I leaned forward slightly and warned, don't follow me. She curled her lips in disdain and turned to leave. I breathed a sigh of relief and quickly walked over to Su Muxue. Su Muxue looked back and saw me. A faint smile appeared on her cold face. She suddenly looked behind me. Turns out she'd noticed Jiyu Kingen's sharp gaze. You two made up? Yeah, I nodded. How have you been lately? Su Muxue actually looked a little proud. I'm preparing for the monthly exam. Even if she didn't come from a wealthy family, she had absolute confidence in her academic abilities. I suddenly remembered something. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, I'll treat you to a meal after the exam. I want to ask you something. In the distance, Jiyu Kingen narrowed her eyes, staring hard at us. Just then, a motorcycle suddenly accelerated, amidst Jiyu Kingen and Song Qian's warning shout. It was too late. The motorcycle was already charging straight at me. Su Muxue reacted quickly. She yanked me behind her in one swift move, using her body to shield me from the impact. We were both knocked to the ground. The driver didn't stop at all and vanished out the school gate. Jiyu Kingen rushed over immediately, ignoring everything else. I struggled to stand up, protected by Su Muxue. I was unharmed, not a scratch from the fall. But when Su Muxue turned and I saw her lying on the ground, I froze instantly. There was a large pool of glaring blood. Su Muxue clutched her right hand, her face pale as paper. Cold sweat soaked her forehead. I was trembling in fear, too scared to even look at the gruesome wound. It was just a fall. How could there be so much blood? Ji Kingen had already rushed over. One glance, and she could tell it was an arterial injury. Without a word, she ripped off a passerby's tie and swiftly tied it above the wound. Song Kian, call your aunt, get an ambulance. Han Jingnian also rushed over. Seeing the scene, his eyes instantly reddened. I knelt beside Su Muxue, but didn't dare to touch her. Su Muxue, how are you feeling? My voice trembled uncontrollably. Ji Kingen pulled me into her arms. Don't be scared. She'd be fine. But we all knew if the artery was hit, it was extremely dangerous. I held on to Ji Kingen tightly. Please save her. I'm begging you, save her. Ji Kingen nodded. I'm here. Her voice had a calming power that slowly soothed me. Su Muxue struggled to sit up. She didn't dare move her injured hand. Her lips were frighteningly pale. She endured the pain, but couldn't help glancing at the two of us embracing. A trace of disappointment flashed across her eyes. The school doctor arrived quickly and gave emergency first aid. The ambulance also arrived in time. Thankfully, the hospital was nearby. Su Muxue passed out after getting in the ambulance. The surgery room light went off quickly. Han Jingnian rushed over first. Doctor, how is she? The surgery was a success. But what? Say it. Han Jingnian was desperate to know. The doctor quickly explained. The wound reached the tendon and bone. She needs half a month of rest. She can't exert force with her right hand. Otherwise, it may affect flexibility, or even leave lasting after effects. Only then did everyone breathe a sigh of relief. But even half a month of recovery won't be easy. The nurse said Su Muxue needed to rest and recover, and could not be visited temporarily. Ji Kingen arranged for a VIP ward, then took us away. Back at the apartment, I was gloomy and down. Su Muxue's injury reminded me of my mom. I went into the bathroom alone. Ji Kingen frowned. Could this brat have fallen for her, she thought. She felt an odd sense of irritation and walked out of the bedroom with her phone. She found the living room lights were off. She was about to turn them on when she heard my voice in the dark. Don't turn on the light. Ji Kingen heard my slightly nasal voice and clenched her fist. You've been crying. Under the moonlight, she felt her weight at the sofa. In the dark, I instinctively leaned closer to her, my fingers gripping the corner of her shirt tightly, burying my face into her shoulder. Ji Kingen, my voice trembled. I really miss my mom. Ji Kingen's heart clenched hard. She pulled me tightly into her arms. Ji Kingen couldn't say a single comforting word. She could only hold me tighter. I sniffled and asked, do you still remember my mom? It's been 3.5 years. My mom has been gone for so long. My father still calls out for her. That gentle and beautiful woman. She used to love making cute little snacks for us. When we heard the tragic news, it was the first time he truly felt the cruelty of death. Suddenly, Ji Kingen thought about what happened today. How Su Muxue took the blow to protect me. If Su Muxue hadn't been there, would that blade have pierced my body instead? That thought made her whole body go cold. Her arms around me tightened unconsciously. The next day at noon, Ji Kingen took me to the student council again. Han Jingnian sat there absent-minded, clearly worried about Su Muxue. I secretly messaged him under the table. By the way, Song Kian suddenly spoke up, startling me almost out of my seat. I looked up and glared at her, only to realize it wasn't Ji Kingen speaking. Song Kian gave me a puzzled look, and then turned to Ji Kingen, saying, that guy on the motorcycle was clearly targeting Yichen. If Su Muxue hadn't blocked the blade, Yichen would have been injured. Have you looked into it? Ji Kingen scoffed and looked away. Of course I've had people investigate. Anyone who dares harm Yichen, I won't let them go. Song Kian pressed on. So what did you find? Yichen just returned to the country. Who would even hold a grudge against him? I perked up beside them, also curious who hated me that much. Ji Kingen frowned and said, right now the only clue is that the surveillance caught the attacker's face. We're tracking them down. Once we find them, we'll uncover who's behind this. Song Kian sighed, so basically no real progress. Just as she finished speaking, Ji Kingen's phone rang. She answered the call. Her expression turned serious. I quickly asked, did you get news? Ji Kingen nodded. She placed her phone on the table. She opened the newly received video. When I saw the person in the video, my eyes widened in shock. How could it be him? The video showed a private hospital room. A man wearing a mask stood in front of the bed. But what shocked me was, the person talking to him on the bed was actually Baihao. The video quality was very clear. You could clearly see Baihao's face covered in scratches and red marks. It was obviously recent. He probably got those from scratching after the itching powder and was filmed secretly while seeking treatment. The video was short. Since it was taken secretly, we couldn't hear what they were saying. I murmured, "It really is him." Song Ki-on leaned in and asked, "Is that the guy on the motorcycle? How can you recognize him with a mask on?" Ji King pulled out some photos taken by the private investigator. One showed the man leaving the hospital without his mask. The other was a screenshot from the school's security camera. Although it was blurry, it was clear they were the same person. Song Ki-on slammed the table. So it really was Baihao behind this. He looked so weak and gentle. But he's this ruthless? I sighed. After what happened in class earlier, I already suspected him. Han Jingnian finally snapped back to reality. "What did he do to you?" I briefly explained what happened in the classroom. Han Jingnian slammed the table in anger. "He keeps hurting you again and again. You absolutely can't let him go." Song Ki-on agreed. "Exactly. No mercy. Miss Ji-yu, you're not gonna go easy on him just because he's your ex, right?" Ji King shot her a cold glare. "Do you think that's even possible?" Song Ki-on was about to tease her more, but one look from Ji King was enough to shut her up. Song Ki-on gave an awkward laugh. Let's eat. Han Jingnian said, "Here, have some chicken wings." I kept my head down and ate. Ji King kept putting food into my bowl. It quickly piled up like a small mountain. I frowned. "Why are you giving me so much? How can I eat all this?" Ji King directly took a fried shrimp back. "Now, is it okay? If you're upset, take it out on me." Han Jingnian asked with concern, "Bicken, what's wrong? You're in a bad mood." Ji King replied briefly, "Why? Didn't we already figure it out?" Han Jingnian was confused. Song Ki-on also looked over curiously. Ji King put down her chopsticks and looked at me. Suddenly learning someone wants to kill you out of hate, who would feel okay? She gently rubbed my hair. "It's not your fault." I put down my chopsticks, glanced sideways at Ji King. "Of course, I know it's not my fault." I pouted. "Don't worry, you all. I'm just a bit frustrated. Getting targeted for no reason. Who wouldn't feel upset?" Han Jingnian breathed a sigh of relief. "As long as you're okay." Song Ki-on picked up a piece of beef. "Here, eat more." I pushed it away in disgust. "No thanks. It's full of your saliva." Song Ki-on turned to offer it to Han Jingnian. Han Jingnian quickly shielded his bowl. "Hey, I don't want it either." Song Ki-on angrily shoved the beef into her own mouth. "I just don't get it. Would Baihao really hire a hitman? That's way over the top." Song Ki-on shook her head dramatically. "Men get scary when they're jealous." Han Jingnian frowned. "I don't think he has the guts." Song Ki-on scoffed. "What do you know? Maybe one day you'll go crazy for love too. Get lost." Han Jingnian picked up his chopsticks to hit her. I laughed to break the tension. I believe Han Jingnian wouldn't. Song Ki-on glanced at him. Ji King immediately gave in. Yes. You're absolutely right." After lunch, at the student council office, I hugged a pillow and got ready for a nap. Ji King suddenly sat next to me and stared. I said irritably, "What?" Ji King, Chen Sheng asked, "What do you want to do about Baihao?" I said slowly, "I don't want to see him ever again." Ji King nodded. "All right. I'll take care of it." At the same time, Kazan was sitting in an upscale restaurant. He said over the phone, "You'll get your money." Then hung up. He elegantly cut his steak. Suddenly, his phone rang. Kei shouted angrily, "Useless. You can't even handle a small task." Kazan gripped his fork tightly, his smile turning cold. "What's the rush? Someone's already taking the fall." He gently swirled his glass of red wine. "Even if Ji King wants revenge, she won't find us." Kei was stunned. "Who is it?" Kazan smiled smugly. "Your most hated, Baihao." Kei asked in shock. "How is it him?" Kazan gloated. "He brought it on himself. This morning, he secretly put an itching powder gift box in Yichen's drawer. Ended up spilling it all over his own face. Jiang Yichen really got lucky." Kei gritted his teeth. "I wish he'd get disfigured." Kei frowned. "How do you know all this? Did you plan to spy at F8? Kazan replied arrogantly. "Know your enemy, right?" Kei sneered inwardly. He continued asking, "How did you frame him?" Kezin proudly said, "Simple. I had someone go to Baihao. Jiu Kingen. We'll find out it was him. And after what happened this morning, he won't be able to clear his name even if he jumped in the Yellow River." Kyu took a deep breath. "Kezin, you're terrifying." Kezin sighed. "Too bad I'm out of money." Kyu immediately said, "I'll give you another 200,000, but you must ruin Jiang Yichen's face." Kezin said darkly, "Don't worry. He led us on the case. There will always be a chance to strike." Kyu sneered, "No wonder you're the son of a mistress. Such ruthless methods." "Brother, thanks for the compliment." Kezin smiled coldly. "Not angry at all. Shut up." "Don't call me brother," Kyu shouted and hung up the phone. Kezin stared coldly at the blackened screen. "Only you can throw a tantrum. Only you're the young master." Tan Meng flung his hand. The phone hit the carpet with a thud. "Anyway, that idiot Kyu gave 200,000. Might as well use his money to buy a new phone." Feeling pleased, Kezin pressed the service button. The waiter pushed the door open and entered. He paused for a moment when he saw the phone on the floor. Kezin arrogantly lifted his chin. "Pick it up for me." The waiter obediently picked up the phone and handed it over with both hands. Kezin nodded in satisfaction. "I want to order dessert." The quick-witted waiter immediately opened the menu. "Sir, please let me know which ones you'd like." Kezin casually pointed. "This page. And this one too." "All of them, everything." "That much?" Kezin smirked. "Yes, everything." The waiter quickly responded, "Got it." Kezin casually pulled out a few bills and threw them at the waiter like he was giving to a beggar. "Thank you, sir." The waiter nodded and bowed as he exited. Kezin sneered and turned on the phone, surprised to find it still working. He dialed the number. "Tonight, go to the hospital to find Baihao. Make sure the Lee family sees it. You'll get paid well." After hanging up, he sent a voice message, "Spread the word. Say Jiang Yichen did it." He threw the phone down, leaning smugly on the sofa, as if he were the king in control of everything. 2 days later, in front of Shandi Academy, I pulled Jiu Kingen. "This is the place." Jiu Kingen glanced at the shabby storefront. "You really want to try breakfast outside the school? Last time, you had a date here with that guy named Sue." I instantly shrank my neck guiltily. That really happened. I don't even remember. I recognized the place right away. I came here specifically for breakfast today, but I didn't dare admit it, afraid she'd get mad again. I cleverly changed the subject. "What do you want to eat? This breakfast is really good." I had already ordered wontons, soup dumplings, and soy milk. This shop has a wide variety and is decorated quite nicely, though it's a simple breakfast place. It's located right outside a private school, so plenty of students come for breakfast. Jiu Kingen didn't even glance at the menu. "You order for me." I flipped through the menu, picked to meat dishes for her, and added a cup of soy milk. Jiu Kingen frowned. "I don't want soy milk." I deliberately told her it was already ordered. "Eat it or not, up to you." At that moment, 2 girls came in and sat not far away. I perked up my ears to eavesdrop. I heard that Baihao from class 1 is getting worse with the itchy powder on his face. He might end up disfigured. No way. Itchy powder can't do that. That's called getting what he deserves. Who told him to try to harm others? Maybe he poisoned it himself. He was so handsome when he first enrolled. Now I really want to see how bad it looks. I turned to look at Jiu Kingen. The moment our eyes met, she already knew what I wanted to ask. Jiu Kingen lazily curled her lip. "It wasn't me." I lowered my voice. "Really not you? I never asked about Baihao." Hearing the rumors, I thought it was his doing. Thinking back to what I just heard, I suddenly shivered. Could the itchy powder really be poisoned? Jiu Kingen sneered. He even dared to hire assassins. Disfigurement is nothing. I sighed. Let's stop talking about him. Jiu Kingen nodded. Since that day, Baihao was expelled from school. The 2 of us kept eating. Suddenly, the girls at the next table screamed, "Look! Someone online says Jiang Yichen is the one who disfigured Baihao." There was no poison in the itchy powder. I looked at Jiu Kingen in shock. Totally confused. How did this suddenly get pinned on me? Jiu Kingen frowned and stared at the 2 girls speaking. Is that information true or not? Look at the post. It says, other class 1 students who touched the powder were fine after washing it with water. Why is Baihao the only one so serious? There must have been more poison added later. If that's true, Jiang Yichen is really vicious. Before she could finish, a loud bang rang out. Jiu Qing'an slammed her hand down on their table. The two girls stared wide-eyed in fear. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I stepped forward and pulled Jiu Qing'an back. Let it go. Let them say what they want. You can't shut everyone's mouths. I was pretty chill about it. After all, we can't control what others say. After hearing that, Jiu Qing'an gave a mischievous smile. Good idea. I was confused. What idea did I come up with? She turned to look at the two girls. Raised a finger. If I hear you spreading rumors about Yichen again, you'll learn what consequences really mean. The two girls trembled in fear. They kept nodding. Got it. I pulled her back to our table. Let's eat breakfast, it's getting cold. The food's getting cold. Jiu Qing'an took out her phone and made a call. I was starving. Didn't care what she was doing. I buried my head in the food ones and soup dumplings. By the time I finished eating, she had hung up the phone too. I couldn't hold back anymore. Who did you call? You'll find out soon enough, she said mysteriously. TCH. Who cares? I pretended not to care, but as soon as she picked up her chopsticks, I snatched her phone. Checked the recent call log. My eyes widened. The principal? Why do you call the principal? Jiu Qing'an lowered her head to eat her noodles. She finished a whole bowl quickly. Done eating? She turned and asked me. I nodded. Yeah, I'm done. So, why exactly did you call the principal? Jiu Qing'an flashed a charming smile. You'll know soon enough. She paid the bill and pulled me out of the breakfast shop. I felt weird holding hands in public. Quickly pulled my hand away. Jiu Qing'an gave me a glance. Seemed a little unhappy, but didn't say anything. I couldn't wait any longer. I pressed her. When exactly is soon supposed to be? Jiu Qing'an led me into the campus. Suddenly, she stopped under a tree. With a mysterious smile, she said, Almost time. I looked confused. Almost what? At that moment, the school broadcast suddenly came on with an announcement. The forum post about student Jiang Yichen was found to be slander. Starting today, all students and staff are prohibited from discussing it privately. Violators will receive major demerits. Reports are welcome. The announcement repeated 3 times. After listening to it 3 times, I looked at Jiu Qing'an in shock. You did this. So that call to the principal was for this. Jiu Qing'an proudly put her arm around my shoulder. Well, this way, everyone will shut up. Even if it's not completely effective, at least no one would dare speak nonsense in front of me. I felt both angry and amused. You're unbelievable, but deep down I knew she did it all to protect me. Jiu Qing'an shot me a dissatisfied glare. At least praise me a little. Don't you know I did it all for you? Everyone already knew her influence at school. But using her power so directly like this, to warn everyone not to slander me, this was a first. I played along and gave her a thumbs up. All right. Nicely done. But I asked worriedly. Isn't abusing power kind of wrong? Jiu Qing'an looked down at me and smiled dismissively. Do you know what privilege means? I tilted my head, thinking, should I Google it? Jiu Qing'an smirked. I am the privilege. Since I am the privilege, then I do whatever I want. No one has the right to object. Got it. I couldn't help but laugh. I really wonder if Jiu dad and Jiu mom know that she acts so recklessly at school. Jiu Qing'an held my arm and laughed. What's wrong with being reckless? Since I have this kind of power, why should I hold back? I'll do whatever I want. That's the real freedom. I was left speechless by how confident she sounded. At that moment, gasps suddenly erupted around us. Oh my God, isn't that Muxue, the senior who was hospitalized? What is she doing back at school? Muxue. I quickly turned around. Sure enough, I saw Muxue walking in through the school gate. Jiu Qing'an frowned. What the hell is she doing? I'm going to ask her. Wait here. I shook off her hand and ran forward, shouting in annoyance at Jiu Qing'an as I chased after her. I warned her with a glare. Don't lose your temper later. Jiu Qing'an acted like she didn't understand. We quickly reached Muxue. Muxue stopped and greeted us with a smile. Good morning. I stared at the bandage on her right hand and asked with concern, Why are you at school? She gently explained, It's the monthly exam today. Only then did I remember she had mentioned an important test before. But looking at her injured hand, I still wasn't reassured. Your hand is hurt, how can you take the exam? Muxue raised her left hand. I still have this one. Don't worry. I never use my right hand anyway. She spoke lightly, but I kept looking at her injured hand. It's just a monthly exam. It's not the college entrance exam. It's fine to miss it, right? Muxue remained firm. The monthly exam is important. I have to take it. Kingen suddenly interrupted with a cold sneer. You're just worried about the scholarship, aren't you? I can have the school give it to you without the exam. Muxue's gaze turned cold. She stared straight at her. No need. Thanks. Kingen narrowed her eyes at her. Her eyes burning with anger. You're refusing? She snorted. If it weren't for Yichin, I wouldn't care if you lived or died. Think carefully. What's more important to your ridiculous pride or that scholarship? Muxue stared back without flinching. Her lips curling into a mocking smile. In your eyes, other people's dignity clearly means nothing. Kingen gritted her teeth in anger. Seeing the tension escalate between them, I quickly grabbed Kingen's arm. Stop arguing, please. Can't we just talk calmly? I glared hard at Kingen, signaling her with my eyes to calm down. I pulled Kingen back a step, then turned to Muxue. You really decided to take the exam? Muxue nodded. Her tone had calmed. I smiled helplessly. Then go ahead. Good luck. I blinked with sparkling eyes, looking at her full of trust. That look warmed Muxue's heart. Thanks, I will. She smiled slightly, and her tone softened a little. Muxue noticed Kingen's hostile gaze, sharp like a knife. But that only seemed to improve her mood. I'll go prepare for the exam now. Wait, I suddenly called out. Can I come find you after school? Muxue glanced at her watch. Sure. She turned and walked toward the senior building. Behind her, I shouted encouragement. Good luck, Muxue. Kingen suddenly grabbed my hand. I asked, confused. What are you doing? Kingen snapped angrily. Don't look at that woman with those eyes. I looked puzzled. I forcefully pulled my hand free. What kind of look? Thinking about how I looked at Muxue made Kingen even angrier. Not just her. You're not allowed to look at any woman like that. I nodded half-heartedly. Got it. Only then did she finally calm down. I finally let out a sigh of relief. Kingen suddenly hugged me. You promised me. I struggled. Let go already, okay? Let's go. Class is starting. Wait, after school, you're still planning to see that woman? You're not allowed to. I played dumb. The wind's still loud. I can't hear you. Dumb guy. When the dismissal bell rang, I arrived on time at Class S. Grade 12. The students in the classroom were leaving one by one. The teacher was still organizing the test papers, but Muxue's seat was completely empty. I stopped a student. Where's Muxue? She turned in her paper early and left. Which hand did she write with? Her left hand. The whole class noticed. I stood frozen in place, my fingertips turning slightly cold. As the teacher passed by with the exam papers, she suddenly flinched. Kingen, hello. Kingen's deep voice came from behind. Teacher. Wait a moment. I turned around curiously and saw her stopping the teacher. I leaned in. What's going on? Kingen gave a look. The teacher immediately returned to the podium and sat down obediently. The scene made me want to laugh and cry. What student bosses a teacher around like that? The teacher nervously smiled. Kingen, do you have any instructions? Kingen glanced at the stack of tests. Take out Muxue's paper. Mark it now. The teacher didn't dare delay. She quickly found the paper and began grading. In under 5 minutes, she handed the test back with both hands. All done. I rushed forward to check the score, and my eyes widened. A perfect score? I asked in disbelief. Didn't she take it with her left hand? Yes. The teacher relaxed a bit upon seeing my kind tone. She became a bit more at ease. I looked through the test carefully. The handwriting was crooked, and the diagram lines were less smooth. The teacher explained her right hand writing is beautiful, but even with her left hand, this didn't affect her performance. That's already impressive. Walking out of the senior building, I finally breathed a long sigh. Knowing Muxue did well on the exam, I could finally relax. If she lost the scholarship because of me, I would have felt so guilty. Getting into Kingen's car, I looked at her cheerfully and asked, Actually, you do care about Muxue, don't you? I really hadn't expected her to come. If she hadn't suggested asking the teacher to grade the paper on the spot, I probably would have worried until results day. Ji Kingen laughed like she heard the biggest joke ever. Nonsense. Absolutely not. I obviously did it for you. All right? I smiled mischievously, wearing an expression like I'd seen through her. You're all tough talk, but soft-hearted. Ji Kingen squinted, threatening. Say that one more time. I wasn't afraid at all. Here's a multiple-choice question for you. You're actually very kind. You cared because you like Muxue. I just wanted to push her to admit she's soft-hearted, even though she acts like she dislikes Muxue. When she saw her insisting on taking the exam, she clearly wasn't made of stone. Ji Kingen narrowed her eyes dangerously. This guy is getting bolder and bolder, even daring to tease her like this. Suddenly, she gave a devilish grin. You like multiple-choice questions. All right then, I'll give you one too. I froze. Our posture was way too suggestive. My cheeks started to flush. What was she trying to do? Before I could react, Ji Kingen's face was already leaning closer. If I kiss you now, what do you think the reason is? 1. Because I like that guy. 2. Because I like you. Our lips got closer and closer. My heart was pounding. I completely forgot to push her away. Just as they were about to touch, a bicycle bell rang outside the car. I snapped back to reality and quickly pushed Ji Kingen away. Don't joke around like that. Ji Kingen was in an especially good mood. If they hadn't been interrupted just now, he might have actually kissed her. Looking at the girls riding by outside, she smiled. You're the one who started joking first. I was speechless. I guess this is what it means to shoot yourself in the foot. Ji Kingen started the sports car. It's the weekend. I'll take you somewhere fun. Normally I'd be excited, but I wasn't in the mood. I stared blankly out the window. Where to? A newly opened hot spring resort. I bet you haven't been. You can soak in hot springs and pick roses to toss into the water. I pouted. That's it. There's also a strawberry field. You can pick and eat them on the spot. Ji Kingen paused deliberately. But if you don't want to go. I instantly perked up. Let's go. Of course we have to go out on the weekend. Ji Kingen slightly curled her lips. Then let's go. Hot springs are good for your health. I excitedly suggested. Let's invite Han Jingyan and the others too. It's more fun with more people. Ji Kingen frowned slightly, clearly not too willing. Whatever. They can come if they want. But she was already plotting how to deal with the unwelcome ones. The car arrived at a junction. I suddenly pointed at the turn and shouted, that way. This isn't the way home, right? Ji Kingen looked puzzled, but still turned on the blinker. Where are we going now? I looked down and played with my fingers. Muxue left so early. Maybe she went back to the hospital. Ji Kingen's expression darkened. She already passed the exam just fine. What else are you worried about? The doctor said to just rest. It's not like it's a serious injury, I said firmly, but she got hurt saving me. Of course I should care for her until she recovers. That's called gratitude. Ji Kingen was so annoyed she didn't want to speak. This guy's had this issue since childhood. She takes everything too seriously. I remember once she accidentally pushed herself into a pool and caught a cold. She waited on herself like a servant every day, even though that version of me was kind of cute. If I gave that same concern to someone else, especially that woman named Sue, even though she was full of irritation, the car still stopped at the hospital entrance. Ji Kingen had a dark expression as she followed me into the hospital lobby. But Muxue wasn't at the hospital. I slapped my forehead in frustration. I should have called her first. Ji Kingen looked at me helplessly. I'll go ask the doctor about her condition. You wait here. Don't wander around, okay? Hurry up, then. Just as I finished speaking, a figure suddenly rushed toward me. Jiang Yichenbai Hao came charging at me, eyes red. His face was covered in bandages almost unrecognizable. I jumped in shock. Only then did I remember Bai Hao was also hospitalized. I didn't expect he'd be in the same hospital by chance. Bai Hao screamed hysterically. It's all your fault. I want you dead. He lunged at me like a madman. I quickly dodged. I was furious and wronged. I was the real victim here. If Bai Hao hadn't had bad intentions, he wouldn't be in this situation. This is entirely his own fault. I glared at him coldly. Bai Hao, get your facts straight. You're the one who used the itchy powder. Now you're suffering the consequences. Why blame me? Bai Hao's eyes turned bloodshot with rage. It's all your fault. If you hadn't stolen Kingen from me, I wouldn't have tried to hurt you. Kingen clearly likes me. I rolled my eyes. Not in the mood to argue with someone so unreasonable. Baihao lunged at me again, like a wild beast. I dodged quickly, then grabbed his hair with one swift move. Baihao let out a miserable scream. The bystanders were all stunned. Yanking his hair, I said, "I've put up with you long enough. I should have transferred you to Class F last time. I only kept you in Class S out of pity. Now you've brought this on yourself, and you still have the nerve to blame me." I was completely furious. Don't mistake a quiet tiger for a sick cat. I yanked his hair again with both hands. He screamed in pain. "Jiang Yichen, you bastard. Let go of me." Baihao's face was completely twisted. I was about to slap him. This slap is to teach you how to behave. I'd had enough of Baihao's fake act long ago. He was dazed by the slap, eyes tearing up, his face covered in tears and snot. He still wanted to fight back, but I pinned him down hard. "Just wait, asterisk smack asterisk." Another loud slap landed. That slap was for myself. Slap slap slap. I shook my numb hand. Jiu Kingen had appeared beside me without my noticing. "Nice hit." I glared at her in annoyance. Jiu Kingen laughed. "Why weren't you this fierce last time you were bullied?" I spread my hands helplessly. That time, I was surrounded by more than 10 people. What could I have done? Getting hit in the head with a volleyball was even worse. I was in the middle of an argument with Jiu Kingen. My mood was already at rock bottom. Then I got hit until I was dizzy. I completely snapped. Baihao suddenly burst into loud sobs. I tugged Jiu Kingen's sleeve. "Let's go." Just looking at him annoys me. But Jiu Kingen crouched in front of Baihao. Baihao's eyes lit up, thinking Jiu Kingen came to comfort him. Jiu Kingen sneered coldly at Baihao. "Your biggest mistake is thinking you're so important." Baihao shouted unwillingly. "He's just a commoner." Why does Jiu Kingen treat him like that? Jiu Kingen laughed. "A commoner? You're not even fit to carry his shoes. You're not worthy of knowing who he really is." Baihao stared in shock, wide-eyed. Jiu Kingen and I turned and walked away, leaving Baihao standing there. Inside a luxurious apartment, I was chatting with Muxue on WeChat, asking why she didn't go back to the hospital today. Muxue rarely sent voice messages, but this time she did. "The doctor said my hand is much better. No need to stay in the hospital every day." I held my phone to my ear, listening to her gentle voice. "Then be extra careful. Contact me anytime if anything happens." We talked for more than 10 minutes. Muxue, usually quiet, was surprisingly chatty today, though I was the one doing most of the talking. Suddenly the door opened. Jiu Kingen came out, drying her hair. I quickly lowered my voice. "Let's stop here. Good night." I quickly switched to Han Jingnian's chat window, pretending to still be chatting with him. Jiu Kingen sat down beside me. "What are you talking about?" I shifted away from her. "Just discussing tomorrow's hot spring trip. Don't get so close." Jiu Kingen chuckled. "What? Am I not allowed to look?" I glared at her. "It's rude to peek at someone else's chat." Jiu Kingen nudged me. "Who wants to look? Go get the hairdryer." I stood up, plugged in my phone, and brought over the hairdryer. Jiu Kingen leaned back on the sofa. "Dry my hair." I played with her hair, suddenly noticing how incredibly soft it was. My eyes lit up. They say people with soft hair also have soft ears. My gaze drifted unconsciously toward her ears. My fingers felt magnetically drawn, and I gently pinched her earlobe. Jiu Kingen tilted her head up at me. "Is that fun?" Only then did I realize what I was doing. I hurriedly pulled my hand back. "Your hair's dry." But it was already too late. The next morning, I was still dreaming of beauties in my arms, just as I was about to see their faces. Bang, bang, bang. Knocking woke me up. I never got to see the dream beauty's face clearly. Jiu Kingen's voice came from outside. "Wake up. The sun's already up." I was dreaming of an unrivaled beauty. Then her face suddenly turned into Jiu Kingen's. I jolted awake. Jiu Kingen had ruined my beautiful dream. She shouted again from outside. "Yichen, it's already 9 o'clock." I angrily got out of bed. "I'm up already. So annoying." Jiu Kingen was grinning brightly. Such a grumpy wake-up mood. "Didn't sleep well last night." She looked smug. "Could it be you couldn't sleep because of what happened last night?" Seeing how happy she looked, I raised my hand in anger to hit her. Jiu Kingen grabbed my wrist and pulled me toward the bed. "If you didn't sleep enough, sleep a bit more." I rubbed my eyes and said, "No, I'm up." We agreed to go out today. Yawning, I went to wash up. We're staying overnight at the hot spring resort, so I had to pack a change of clothes. After washing up, I smelled breakfast. My stomach growled loudly. So hungry there was food all over the table. As I ate, I looked at Jiu Kingen suspiciously. "You're acting strange today." She actually made breakfast on her own. Jiu Kingen gave me a glance. "You're the strange one. Hurry and eat. The others are waiting for us." I remembered we agreed to meet at 9:30. So I sped up, finished eating, and clapped my hands. "I'll go pack my luggage." I dawdled for more than 10 minutes. After packing, I saw Jiu Kingen leaning by the door. "Where's your luggage?" She pointed to a backpack by the door. "Not much stuff. Put yours in here too." Then her phone rang. She walked out to take the call. I packed my stuff into a bag and stuffed it into her backpack. Once I finished packing, I plopped down on the floor, zoning out. Suddenly I remembered that night at the Yin family's house. Jiu Kingen secretly hid condoms. I stared at the backpack deep in thought. Could she have packed that into? Two little voices argued in my head. Should I check or not? Now was the perfect chance. Jiu Kingen was outside taking the call. The backpack was right beside me. I slowly reached out my hand. I was just about to touch the backpack when Jiu Kingen's footsteps suddenly sounded. "Are you ready? Song Kian and the others are here." Startled, I slapped the backpack and said, "Ready, ready. Let's go." Hot spring resort trip. It wasn't far from the city to the hot spring resort, but I had delayed in the morning. By the time our group arrived, it was already past noon. After a simple lunch, the two guys went to check out the surroundings. Han Jingnian and I wandered around. I pointed at a patch of purple flowers in the distance. "Han Jingnian, look, is that lavender?" Han Jingnian nodded with a smile. It was transplanted from Provence, France. A genuine variety. "Do they use it here to make essential oils too?" My eyes lit up. "I want to buy some." I turned to Jiu Kingen and said, "Remind me to buy it, okay?" Jiu Kingen frowned slightly. "You're not allowed to light aromatherapy at home." I suddenly remembered she's sensitive to scents. We never use aromatherapy at home, but I really want it. Seeing my disappointed expression, Jiu Kingen relented. "If you want it, buy it. But don't light it at my place. Burn it at Han Jingnian's." Han Jingnian's eyes widened. "Why my place?" Jiu Kingen gave him a sidelong glance. "You're the one who encouraged her to buy it. You take responsibility." Song Kian laughed helplessly. And just like that, the day passed. At dinner, we drank the resort's specialty wine. Song Kian said, "It's rare for us to hang out. Let's play a game." "Yeah, let's do it." Jiu Kingen elegantly swirled her wine glass. "I have no objection." Song Kian grinned mischievously. "Game's starting. We play truth or dare. Even though it's such an old game, it's still really fun." Han Jingnian's eyes lit up. He exchanged a glance with Song Kian and immediately agreed to play. I didn't catch their sneaky intentions. "I want to play too." The waiter quickly brought over the spinning wheel. The rules were simple. Song Kian explained. Whoever the pointer lands on has to choose truth or dare. No backing out. The first round began. I nervously stared at the spinning pointer. It slowed down gradually. "It's you." I pointed at Jiu Kingen in surprise. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. No one expected it. The first to get picked was actually Jiu Kingen. Song Kian couldn't hold in her laughter. She quickly covered her mouth. Han Jinlian was laughing so hard she couldn't straighten up. But no one dared to laugh too wildly. Only I laughed the hardest. "A bet's a bet. Choose truth or dare." Jiu Kingen raised an eyebrow at me. "What do you want me to pick?" Song Kian quickly gave me a signal. I immediately said, "Truth." Jiu Kingen leaned back in her chair. "Ask away." I couldn't think of a question. Han Jingnian jumped in first. "Miss Jiu, how many boyfriends have you had?" I immediately turned to stare at Jiu Kingen. Jiu Kingen frowned. "I don't remember." TCH, Han Jingnian pouted in disappointment. Song Kian laughed. "I don't remember either." I widened my eyes. Could it be over 100? Song Kian mysteriously shook her head. "More than that." I gaped in shock. Jiu Kingen downed a glass of wine, ending the topic right there. The second round began. I stared at the wheel excitedly. Unexpectedly, the pointer stopped in front of me. I wailed. "Why me?" I chose truth again. Jiu Kingen was the first to ask. "How many girlfriends did you have in the US?" I froze on the spot. I had just heard that Jiu Kingen had over 100 girlfriends. If I said I had none, wouldn't that make me look completely unimpressive? How embarrassing. How many should I say? 2 or 3 feels too few. 7 or 8 is too many. 3 or 4 sounds okay. I was struggling so hard I almost panicked. Jiu Kingen suddenly stared at me seriously. You must tell the truth. No lying allowed. I snapped out of it. Of course I'll tell the truth. I know the rules. Jiu Kingen rested her chin on her hand. Then answer already. Is it really that hard of a question? Song Qian teased Yichin while eating. Don't tell me you don't remember either. My face flushed red instantly. Of course I do. Han Jinglian leaned in with sparkling eyes toward Yichin. You must have had a girlfriend in the US, right? There are so many pretty girls there. And you're so handsome. I immediately lifted my chin. Of course I was pursued. I'm not someone nobody wants, okay? Jiu Kingen frowned. How many exactly? Hurry and tell me, whispered. Just one. Honestly, barely even one. That one didn't even count as a real relationship. Jiu Kingen's face darkened even more. Just one. That annoyed her more than hearing many. I lowered my head and stayed silent. She's probably mocking me. What's wrong with being loyal? Unlike her, changing boyfriends like changing clothes. Song Qian laughed to smooth things over. Didn't expect our Yichin to be so devoted. My face froze. Jiu Kingen's face grew even darker. Han Jinglian glanced at Jiu Kingen, then leaned toward me on purpose. Wow. The girl who could be your girlfriend must have been super pretty. Come on, tell us. I thought for a moment. She was quite pretty and had a nice personality too. The more I said, the more real it sounded. Han Jinglian secretly glanced at Jiu Kingen and found her face was cold as ice. The temperature in the room dropped sharply. Seeing the situation, Song Qian stepped in. Let's end the game here. It's time to go to the hot spring. Han Jinglian immediately followed up. Yes, yes. Yichin, let's go to the Cherry Blossom Hot Spring. Cherry Blossom Hot Spring. I was successfully distracted. The 4 of us walked out of the room. Jiu Kingen was still staring at me. Her gaze was deep. Suddenly, I grabbed Jiu Kingen's sleeve. Kingen. Look, isn't that Uncle Jiu? Jiu Kingen followed my line of sight. Standing, there was a man in his 40s. It was Jiu Pingyuan, the current head of the Jiu family. I hesitated whether to go greet him. I met him a few times when I was a kid. He's considered an elder. Jiu Kingen immediately saw through my thoughts. She smiled slightly. Forget it. It's not convenient for him right now. I couldn't help but wonder why not. I turned and looked carefully. Next to Jiu Pingyuan stood a girl in her early 20s. She was stylishly dressed. Didn't look like his daughter. Han Jinglian rolled his eyes. Another new fling? He sounded full of disdain. New fling? My eyes widened. Are you saying mistress? Jiu Kingen frowned and cut him off. Don't gossip about other people's private matters. Han Jinglian couldn't hold it in. No gossiping? That's torture. He lowered his voice and said, This isn't the first time I've seen Uncle Jiu like this. Last time it was a minor celebrity. This one looks a little familiar too. I remember now. She's the campus belle from Tita University. My eyes widened in surprise. You even know the university's campus belle? Jiu Kingen pulled me away from Han Jinglian immediately. Didn't this guy say we were going to the hot spring? Let's go. Han Jinglian shrugged nonchalantly. We can continue chatting while soaking later anyway. I still couldn't help glancing back toward Jiu Pingyuan. I caught him getting all lovey-dovey with that girl. It was obvious their relationship wasn't ordinary. Jiu Kingen turned my face back with her hand. What's there to look at? We arrived at the hot spring room. Jiu Kingen's phone suddenly rang. You guys going first? I need to take this call, she said, then walked to the side. Song Qian was about to sneak off to the men's spring, but Han Jinglian dragged her into the women's spring. With a loud bang, he pinned her to the wall. Han Jinglian grinned as he moved closer. Continue what you were saying. Song Qian shook her head frantically. No. Jiu Kingen will kill me. Even though she was the mayor's daughter, she still cowered in front of the four big families. Just about to slip away, I forced her to talk. If you don't say it, I'll go find Jiu Kingen. Song Qian was scared out of her wits. No, I'll talk. She nervously glanced at the door. She lowered her voice. Jiu Kingen, she's just looking for someone who truly moves her heart. She's had so many boyfriends over the years, just to try out the feeling. Unfortunately, she never found it. We both said in unison. We promise we won't tell. Song Qian looked like she was about to cry. What did I do to deserve this? Han Jingnian grabbed her again. He went straight to the point. Wait a sec. The boy he's looking for. Does he actually exist, or is he imaginary? Song Qian stomped anxiously. Does that matter? Her eyes kept darting to the door. Afraid Jiyu Qing'an would barge in at any moment. I propped my chin and pressed on. Then how does she judge whether she has feelings for the boy? Song Qian lowered her voice. Isn't it obvious? She won't even kiss them. Of course she doesn't feel anything for those guys. Han Jingnian's eyes lit up. He snapped his fingers. I get it now. If there's a guy she actually wants to kiss, that's the one. Her destined person. You could say that. Song Qian nodded. Han Jingnian let her go and held his face with both hands. Oh my god. I can't believe Jiyu Qing'an is this devoted. He suddenly felt. His previous impression of Jiyu Qing'an being a playgirl was completely overturned. I stood frozen. I really didn't expect that beneath Jiyu Qing'an's flirtatious exterior was such a story. Are you sure you're not lying? Song Qian immediately raised her hand and swore, if I'm lying, may I never find a boyfriend in my life. Only then did the two believe her. I was still lost in shock. This explosive news would take some time to digest. Song Qian peeked around. Can I go now? After getting an impatient wave from Han Jingnian, she dashed out like a frightened rabbit. Before leaving, she made sure Jiyu Qing'an wasn't around. In the steamy mist rising in the corridor, I absent-mindedly fiddled with the bath towel. The truth behind Jiyu Qing'an's rumored boyfriends kept swirling in my mind. Turns out there was a reason behind her so-called flirtiness. That discovery somehow eased the knot that had been stuck in my chest. Han Jingnian suddenly came close. What are you spacing out for? He swayed slightly at my feet, holding a translucent glazed, slightly flawed bottle. A house-brewed strawberry wine from the resort. Someone here really needs this right now. The wooden tray floating on the water rocked gently with his movement. Beside the fire pit lay the glass bottle. I was successfully distracted again. I stared blankly at the strawberry wine. Han Jingnian urged me several times. I finally took a reluctant sip. So sweet it really tastes like strawberries. And barely any alcohol taste. I like it. Normally I hate drinking. But this strawberry wine I couldn't put it down. There's also rose wine. Han Jingnian shook the bottle in his hand. We're happy today, so let's drink more. The two of us, one cup after another, drank quite a lot without realizing it. My eyes began to blur. Han Jingnian leaned closer and took the chance to ask, Bao Yichin, what do you feel for Jiyu Qing'an right now? I looked at Han Jingnian with hazy eyes. He leaned close to my ear and whispered, you and Jiyu Qing'an are already engaged, and she's treating you so well now. I heard she even got jealous when you mentioned a girlfriend. Don't you like her too? I murmured in a daze, like her. I seriously thought, do I like Jiyu Qing'an? I guess I do. I nodded, mumbling, yeah, I like her. How could I not? Even though we bicker and argue a lot, it never really hurts our relationship. Han Jingnian showed a just as I thought expression and quickly asked again, I mean romantic love. Do you love her like that? As in between a man and a woman? I don't think I understand that sentence. Han Jingnian was both amused and helpless. He worried that he might have gotten me drunk. We only had a few small glasses of fruit wine, but I already looked completely tipsy. Han Jingnian leaned in closer and asked mysteriously, do you know what romantic love is? I laughed and said, it's when your heart races when you see her. You want to kiss her. Han Jingnian grinned and asked, so, have you kissed? I tilted my head and thought for a moment, then slowly said, yeah, I've heard that. Suddenly, I recalled the kiss with Jiyu Qing'an in my dream, and how my heart would race every time I saw her lately. So this is what liking someone feels like. Han Jingnian jumped up in excitement. Oh my god, you guys really kissed. Remember what Song Qian said? You're Jiyu Qing'an's destined one. I froze. My heart started pounding like crazy. Am I really her destined one? Hearing those words, my heart kept pounding uncontrollably. When I heard that phrase, my eyes lit up instantly. A smile naturally formed on my lips. I liked the sound of that. Being the one destined for Jiyu Qing'an. Yichin, what's wrong? Don't fall asleep. Han Jingnian saw my eyes slowly closing. He quickly held me up in panic. Yichin, wake up. But I had completely passed out. When I drink, I fall into a deep sleep. No matter how much he called me, I wouldn't wake. Han Jingnian broke out in a cold sweat. Falling asleep in a hot spring is way too dangerous. He wanted to go out and get help. But the moment he let go, I slipped toward the water. Han Jingnian was full of regret. If he had known, he wouldn't have let me drink. Who would have thought this guy had such a low tolerance? Yichen, wake up? Han Jingnian shook me again. I just pursed my lips and slept soundly. Han Jingnian was nearly in tears. He held on to me and shouted, "Anyone there? Help! Someone!" He stomped anxiously. No matter how he called, I didn't respond. He quickly turned me over and had me lie beside the pool. Yichen, don't move, okay? I'll go find help right now. He looked back every few steps, afraid I'd slide back into the water. As soon as he reached the door, he yelled at the top of his lungs, "Someone help!" Something happened. Song Qian and Jiu Qing'an rushed over from the room next door. Yichen, what happened? He passed out in the hot spring. Han Jingnian shrank his neck guiltily. Jiu Qing'an's face instantly darkened. Song Qian was about to follow them in, when the door slammed shut. "Why won't you let me in?" Before she could finish, she realized, and awkwardly scratched her head. Inside, Jiu Qing'an rushed to the edge of the pool. She gently patted me with concern. "Yichen, wake up." But I didn't respond at all. She and Han Jingnian carried me out. In the room, I suddenly squirmed restlessly on the sofa. "I want water." Jiu Qing'an quickly stepped forward. "What's wrong?" She gently touched my burning cheeks. The alcohol hadn't worn off. I mumbled, "I want water." Jiu Qing'an got up to get some from the fridge. I opened my eyes immediately. My eyes were clear, no sign of drunkenness. Actually, I hadn't drunk that much. The hot spring just intensified the alcohol. One nap, and I was sober, but I didn't want to get scolded. Jiu Qing'an would definitely lecture me. Drinking in a hot spring is dangerous, so I decided to keep pretending. Watching her fuss over me like that, I grinned secretly and quickly shut my eyes before she turned back, relaxed my body, and pretended to sleep. "Here's your water." Jiu Qing'an crouched beside the sofa. I mumbled, "You're so sweet to me." As Jiu Qing'an leaned in, she smelled the alcohol. Her brows furrowed. How much did this guy drink to end up like this? She shook her head helplessly, but her movements were gentle. She slowly fed me water. I was so thirsty. Gulped down half a glass. Jiu Qing'an set the glass down. Her fingers gently touched my cheek. Feeling any better, her voice gave me tingles. Why does Jiu Qing'an's voice sound so good? My heart started racing. Feeling dizzy, I lay on the sofa, frowning in discomfort. I was actually still a little dizzy. She leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Yichen." Seeing no response, she secretly kissed me. My heart raced like crazy. This isn't a dream. Jiu Qing'an really kissed me. She stole a kiss while I was drunk. Thinking back to that dream, I suddenly understood. So, she really had kissed me before. Jiu Qing'an went into the bathroom again. In the darkness, I opened my eyes, biting my lip. My heart was still racing. Sunlight pierced through the gap in the curtain. As I turned over, my fingers instinctively reached out to the empty space beside me. I suddenly opened my eyes. The bedsheets were perfectly neat. Not a single wrinkle in sight. As if no one had ever slept there last night. Jiu Qing'an. I grabbed my phone. The screen glowed blindingly in the dark. On the living room sofa, the woman was under a blanket. Even her sleeping posture looked overly tidy. Fragments of memory suddenly rushed into my mind. The burning sensation on my lips in the haze of drunkenness last night. And the sound of a wine glass falling when someone hurriedly left. Jiu Qing'an opened her eyes, showing no signs of sleepiness. I asked, "Why did you sleep on the sofa? The bed in the room is huge." Jiu Qing'an gave me a cold look, but didn't answer. Suddenly, I realized something. Could it be? She's feeling guilty for stealing that kiss last night. That's why she avoided me? I couldn't help but chuckle. Who would have thought that fearless Jiu Qing'an would have such a timid moment? "What are you laughing at?" Jiu Qing'an frowned at me. "Are you happy I didn't sleep well?" "No, I'm not," I denied. But my eyes were curved from smiling. Jiu Qing'an narrowed her eyes. "Be honest. Did you do something to my face while I slept?" I quickly denied it. "No, really, I didn't." "Then why are you smiling like that?" Jiu Qing'an was suspicious. "You didn't draw on my face or something, did you?" I straightened my expression. "Absolutely not." But my eyes had already betrayed me. The more Jiu Qing'an looked at me, the more suspicious she became. This guy was definitely hiding something. Otherwise, why would he be smiling so happily? Only a fool would believe me. Ji King glanced at the phone on the nightstand just out of reach, but she didn't want to let go of the person in her arms. Hand me the phone. She tilted her chin slightly. I obediently reached out and gave it to her. Ji King opened the front camera. After confirming her face was clean, she let go of me. You're not even sober yet. Your face is so red. No, it's not. I cupped my burning cheeks. Ji King squinted and leaned in. You're acting weird today. I fired back. You're the weird one. You always refuse to sleep on the couch at home, but now you're sleeping on it willingly. Ji King pouted irritably. If I slept in bed, I'd have to take a cold shower. Might as well sleep on the couch. I didn't catch what she said clearly, as she quickly walked toward the bathroom. I'm going to wash my face. What do you want for breakfast? Her back looked a little flustered. I was still trying to figure out what she had muttered earlier, when my stomach suddenly growled. And just like that, I was distracted. Alright, time for breakfast first. The hot spring resort's breakfast had a wide variety. Both Western and Asian dishes were available. After washing up and getting dressed, I suddenly remembered I had to find Han Jingnian. Who knew that as soon as I opened the door, I'd see Han Jingnian leaning against it, eavesdropping. He nearly fell flat. I looked confused. Han Jingnian, what are you doing? He laughed awkwardly. Nothing. Just came to get you for breakfast. Thought you weren't awake yet. I stretched lazily. I've been up. I was just flipping through the breakfast menu, waiting for Ji Kingen. Just then, Ji Kingen came out too. Why are you all crowding the doorway? I'm starving. I turned and asked, what do you want to eat? My eyes lit up when I saw they had Cantonese dim sum. We all headed to the dining hall, only to find it was already packed. I sighed in disappointment. Let's eat something else. But I couldn't stop staring inside. Ji Kingen glanced at me and said, wait here. Then turned and left. Han Jingnian took the chance to pull me aside. Lowered his voice. So, what happened last night? Why does Ji Kingen look off today? I pouted. She slept on the sofa last night. Of course she looks off. Han Jingnian widened his eyes. The sofa? You kicked her out? I didn't. I was already asleep last night. Didn't even lock the door. She just didn't want to come in herself. Han Jingnian grinned mischievously. So nothing happened between you two? I quickly changed the subject. I was that drunk. What could have happened? Ji Kingen walked in and saw me and Han Jingnian hiding in a corner. What are you two doing over there? Aren't we getting breakfast? I've got us a table. She went out of her way and got us the best seats. The four of us enjoyed a great dim sum meal. After the meal, I flipped through the resort guidebook. Finally decided to ride the shuttle to the valley. The resort scenery was picturesque. When we arrived at the valley, the clear stream flowed gently. Beside it were smooth, black stones. I suddenly grabbed Ji King and look over there. Someone's camping over there. Looks so fun. Ji King followed the direction I pointed. Looks like it. Song Qian laughed. Are they really camping? Their setup rivals the resorts. Yichin, if you like it. Let's go camping next weekend too. I happily nodded. Sure. Han Jingnian said excitedly. It's settled then. I saw this activity last time I came. Always wanted to try it. Playing in the stream during the day. Campfire, BBQ, games, ghost stories at night. Just thinking about it sounds fun. I took off my shoes and stepped into the stream. The cold water flowed over my feet. The pebbles underfoot felt really nice. I was about to go deeper. Ji Kingen frowned and pulled me back. Don't go further. The water's quite deep in the middle. She remembered this guy couldn't swim. The water was clear, which made it hard to judge the depth. I stood in the stream, turned and smiled brightly at her Kingen. Do you remember that year when our families went to a lakeside resort? My eyes sparkled. I remembered our first kiss. It was the summer 7 years ago. Both our families went on a trip to the lake. On the last evening, the two kids were playing in the water by the lake. They went deeper and deeper. Ji Kingen suddenly lost her footing and fell in. 9-year-old me panicked. I grabbed a stick and reached it toward her. Ji Kingen clutched it desperately. Used all her strength to climb ashore, then passed out. I remembered CPR from TV and bent over to perform rescue. When she came to, I ran to get the adults. I asked softly, do you still remember that day? Ji King looked at the stream. Yeah. Classes were starting the next day. So, we left the resort in the afternoon. Back at the apartment, I collapsed on the sofa, so tired. My shoulders are sore. I peeked at Ji King and hinted, it'd be great if someone gave me a massage. That woman just walked straight into the room with her bag. I pouted. She totally ignored me. Waited a bit. Still nothing. I couldn't help shouting, Ji King. She slowly responded, I whined, my shoulders are so sore. I squirmed like a worm on the sofa. Ji King lazily smiled. Where does it hurt? As she moved, I twisted and laughed. Wait. Where are your hands going? Ha ha ha. Don't touch my waist. Full service only. That's my motto. She smirked and pressed harder. Ji King's hands were merciless. I laughed so hard I was tearing up, rolling into a ball on the sofa. I finally realized this guy's doing it on purpose. I couldn't take it anymore. No matter how I squirmed, I couldn't escape. I had to flip over. Ji King, you. I was about to scold her, but we were suddenly face to face. Blushing, I shouted, get off me. I don't need your help anymore. Ji King stared at my flustered face. Suddenly, she wondered if I knew about the secret kiss. If I said I really want to kiss you right now, what would you do? I widened my eyes shocked. What? This jerk has gone too far. Sneaking a kiss was one thing, but now you want to do it openly. Dream on. Absolutely not. Ji King smiled mischievously. But I insist. Cut it out. I pushed her away hard and rushed into the bedroom, slammed the door shut. Jiang Yichin, Ji King angrily punched the sofa. Shouldn't have teased him. She walked to the bedroom and knocked. I shouted from inside, go away. I don't want to see you. Ji King's face darkened. You pushed me first, so shut up. I leaned against the door. My heart was pounding like it might burst. Suddenly I realized I might actually like her. Both of us stood on either side of the door, deep in thought. Ji King helplessly knocked. When will you stop being mad? I don't want to sleep on the sofa again. Sleeping on the couch last night was unbearable. That just made me angrier. Don't even think about it, go back to the sofa. Or sleep in a hotel. I regretted it the moment I said that, afraid I'd hear her actually walk away. Then I heard Ji King muttering outside. You really are impossible. Her footsteps slowly faded. She lay back down on the sofa. Ever since we started living together, she'd gotten used to falling asleep holding me. Now her arms felt empty, like something was missing. Ji King looked at the tightly shut bedroom door and sighed softly. I pressed my ear to the door, listening intently for a long time, making sure it was quiet outside, then finally breathed a sigh of relief. The room was pitch dark. That's when I noticed it was already night. I quickly turned on the light. The big empty room had only me in it. Suddenly it felt terribly lonely. Why didn't I feel this way before? Was it because Ji King wasn't here? I glanced at the time. It was just after 7 p.m. Too early to sleep. Wait, what about a shower? I bit my lip, debating what to do. In the blink of an eye, it was already 11 p.m. I quietly opened the door a crack, peeking out first. No one was in the living room. The light in the study was on. Ji King was probably inside. I tiptoed into the bathroom and took a super quick shower, terrified Ji King would sneak into the bedroom while I was gone. Bang! The bedroom door closed again. The living room returned to silence. Suddenly, the study door opened. Ji King came out holding her iPad. She looked at the tightly closed bedroom door and smiled, shaking her head. She walked to the sofa and lay down. Lightning flashed outside the window. The rain started pouring down. I sat on the bed staring at the heavy downpour outside. It was supposed to be a peaceful night, but I stared at the shut door in frustration. When I had snuck out for a shower earlier, I was worried Ji King might sneak back into the room and take over the bed, but that guy actually obediently slept on the sofa. That's just not like her. With her usual overbearing personality, how could she pass up this kind of opportunity? The more I thought, the weirder it seemed. So I just turned off the light and lay down. But I couldn't sleep. Tossing and turning, I suddenly sat up and looked at my phone. It was already midnight. Lightning flashed across the sky. I couldn't help but look toward the door. Wouldn't sleeping on the sofa be uncomfortable again? I remembered how tired she looked this morning and felt torn inside. She didn't sleep well last night. If she can't sleep well tonight either, We still have school tomorrow, I muttered to myself. I used to be able to harden my heart. But somehow, somewhere along the way, my heart quietly began to change. In the living room, hugging my pillow, I tiptoed over to the sofa. Ji King suddenly opened her eyes. In the dim light, she saw me standing in front of her. What's wrong, Ji Ching? Han sat up, thinking I was there to play a prank. I stammered, I forgive you. Can you sleep with me? Ji King was stunned. Are you afraid of thunder? We grew up together. Of course she knew I was lying. I snapped. Yeah, I'm scared, so what? Ji King replied with a smile. All right. Whatever my husband says is right. A few days later, Shanti Academy's senior year monthly exam results were announced. Muxue once again proved her top student status with strength. The school had been worried about the injury on her hand, preventing her from joining the math competition. Fortunately, the recovery went well. On the day of departure, the school gate was crowded with people seeing them off. Go for it, Senior Muxue. Don't push yourself if your hand hurts. We'll wait for you to come back with first place. Han Jingnian dragged me forward through the crowd. Han Jingnian shouted, Muxue. Just as she was about to get on the bus, Muxue turned around at the sound. Her eyes landed directly on me. She got off the bus, smiled slightly, and said, Why are you here? Screams immediately erupted around us. I looked at Han Jingnian awkwardly. Smiling, I said, We came to cheer you on. But deep down, I knew. With Muxue's strength, this competition wasn't anything to worry about. Han Jingnian quickly handed the bag to Muxue. These are snacks we made. Eat them on the way. Muxue looked at me. You really made these? I nodded. Only then did Muxue take the bag. Thank you, Han Jingnian. Even though I knew she only accepted it because of me, the thought of her eating snacks I made still made me feel sweet inside. Good luck in the competition. Han Jingnian pulled me back. Muxue waved goodbye and got on the bus. As we watched the bus drive away, Han Jingnian was still staring at me dreamily. I waved my hand in front of his eyes. Stop staring. She's already gone. Han Jingnian shook his head. You and Ji King show off your love every day, and you dare to say I'm the shameless one. We're not like that. Oh please. Han Jingnian leaned in nasally. How did Ji King confess to you? Was she super domineering? I looked a bit embarrassed. She never actually confessed to me. As I spoke, my mood started to drop. The more I talked, the more down I felt. That guy secretly kissed me, but never said she liked me. Lately, she keeps teasing me. Things are ambiguous between us, but neither of us is willing to break the silence. Han Jingnian stared in shock. So, just because you're engaged? She skipped the confession part. That's way too perfunctory. I shook my head in frustration. It's not like that. Things between us aren't what you think. We're still really good friends. Really close childhood friends. But not in a romantic relationship. Thinking about it made me feel down again. I really don't understand what Ji King is thinking. If she kissed me secretly, she must like me, right? But then why? Han Jingnian suddenly grabbed my arm. Wait, aren't you two dating? It's obvious to anyone that you're a couple. I shook my head. Really, we're not. Han Jingnian rubbed his chin thoughtfully. I thought maybe you were just clueless. But at the hot spring resort, you clearly said yourself that you liked her. So it shows you're aware of your feelings. I looked confused. I said I liked her. When did that happen? Just last week, at the hot spring resort. We were soaking in the hot spring together. I asked you about it, and you said yourself that you liked her. It's only been a few days, and you already forgot. Han Jingnian clapped his hands. I know, you were drunk that day. Maybe you blacked out after sobering up. I frowned. But I wouldn't have said I liked her. At that time, I hadn't even realized Ji King had kissed me. Now I get it. I suddenly started laughing. Maybe I did say I liked her, but I didn't mean it that way. Han Jingnian stomped his feet anxiously. Do you like Ji King or not? My face turned red. Hurry up and say it. You're killing me. I was just about to speak when a few boys suddenly blocked our way. Jiang Yichin, I have nothing to say to you. The lead boy's voice was even trembling. I looked at them cautiously and noticed that they all looked timid. I asked in confusion, what is it? They didn't expect me to be so easygoing. And froze for a moment before one of them said, Jiang Yichin, please stop getting close to Senior Muxue. I pointed to myself. dumbfounded. What are you even talking about? Han Jingnian immediately frowned and snapped. What nonsense is this? The boys shrank their necks in fear. I stopped Han Jingnian and asked patiently, why do you think I'm seducing Muxue? Actually, everyone at school knows I'm under Kingan's protection. These guys normally wouldn't dare mess with me, but they just couldn't bear it anymore. One of the boys gathered his courage and said, you already have Kingan, so please stop playing with Senior Muxue's feelings. What kind of logic is that? I was getting a little angry. Let me ask again, what exactly made you misunderstand that I'm seducing her? Another boy softly said, last time, Senior Muxue hurt her hand saving you, and she's always so gentle to you. I was stunned. Just because of that. That's way too ridiculous. The boy, eyes red, pleaded with me. Please stop seducing Senior Muxue. I was completely speechless. Seeing how timid they looked, I didn't even have the energy to get angry. Just because I've had some interactions with her, that means I'm seducing her? It's laughable. Can't boys and girls just be friends? Your thinking is way too narrow-minded. Your mindset is way too narrow-minded. Yelling for years, I still can't stand it. Last time, Muxue helped Yichin because she considered him a friend. Did you expect her to just watch and not help? Would you still like someone like that? The boys were instantly stunned. One half-dumb boy protested awkwardly. How can guys and girls possibly be just friends? I sneered. Who says men and women can't be just friends? I pointed to Han Jingnian beside me. Han Jingnian often hangs out with Jiu Kingan and the others. Does that mean they all have something going on? Han Jingnian rolled his eyes in disgust. No way. That boy turned away, speechless. Pale-faced, he asked back, then what about you and Jiu Kingan? You two aren't just friends, right? I rolled my eyes. Suddenly, arguing with someone like him felt pointless. We're like family. I couldn't be bothered to explain further, but that sentence made people misunderstand. Just then, a familiar voice came from behind. What are you talking about? Han Jingnian and I turned our heads at the same time. The boys were staring behind us. Suddenly they exclaimed, Jiu Kingan, speak of the devil. The devil appears, the boys trembled in fear. Everyone knows Jiu Kingan has a bad temper. They were afraid of upsetting her. But Jiu Kingan didn't even glance at them. She walked straight toward me. Seeing me dazed, she asked, why are you spacing out? Got pressure pointed? That snapped me out of it. I stammered. Did she hear what I said earlier? My heart suddenly panicked. Afraid she'd misunderstand that I only saw her as family. I wanted to explain, but didn't know how. I stole a glance at her expression. She didn't seem angry. Then what was she thinking? Han Jingnian cut in. Weren't you in a student council meeting? Jiu Kingan said, it's over. I need to head out. I got anxious. Where are you going? You're not eating lunch with us? Jiu Kingan calmly replied. Her sharp gaze swept over the group of boys. What are they doing around you? I tugged at her hand. It's nothing. Let's go. Jiu Kingan stared at me, as if trying to see if I'd been bullied. I'm fine, I flared up. Hey. You think I'm that easy to pick on? What could a few guys like them do to me? The other two times were just accidents, okay? Jiu Kingan laughed. Okay. Our Yichin is the toughest. I really have to go. I couldn't help asking. Where exactly are you going? I never used to ask about her whereabouts, but now, I realized I was starting to care more and more about everything she did. Jiu Kingan raised her finger mysteriously. Secret, Jiu Kingan smiled. I stomped my foot angrily. The less she says, the more I care. Jiu Kingan checked the time. Gently pried my hand off. I really don't have time. Bye. She waved and walked off. I watched her back and felt an emptiness inside. What exactly is she hiding from me? Han Jingnian suddenly put his arm around my shoulders. I already know the answer. He could see it clearly. This man had already fallen deeply for Jiu Kingan. But Jiu Kingan's attitude kept him guessing. Although she treats Yichin well usually, does she really understand her own feelings? Only Jiu Kingan herself can answer that question. I was still worried about what I'd said earlier. Han Jing and You think she misunderstood? Han Jingnian shrugged slyly. That depends on how she takes it. The moment I heard maybe she misunderstood, my face immediately fell. Han Jingnian's eyes suddenly lit up. Right, a friend of mine is having a birthday party at the bar tonight. Let's go together. Let's get Jiu Kingan drunk and find out what she really thinks. I thought of how she stole a kiss from me last time. If she gets drunk again, will she? I asked worriedly. But she holds her liquor really well. Han Jingnian smiled mysteriously. Don't worry. Leave the arrangements to me. I looked at Han Jingnian's mischievous grin. My curiosity was piqued too. I had never seen Ji Kingen drunk before. Today was the birthday party of some rich young master. To win over Ji Kingen and other elite heirs, he reserved the entire hall. I arrived together with Ji Kingen. Since no one knew I was the eldest son of the Jiang family, everyone thought I was Ji Kingen's new boyfriend. Han Jingnian slung his arm around my shoulder, which drew quite a lot of attention. I covered my ears and complained, "It's too loud. Can't they turn the volume down a bit?" My ears are going deaf. Han Jingnian moved his body to the music, leaned in, and shouted near my ear, "You'll get used to it. This isn't even loud." I rolled my eyes. This isn't loud. My head is already buzzing from the bass. The loud music was giving me a headache, and all the curious glances made me feel completely uncomfortable. Song Qian came over with a glass of wine and plopped down beside me. "Young Master Jiang, your rival has totally stolen the birthday boy's spotlight. If I told them who you really are..." She smirked and swirled her wine glass. Things would get really exciting. People around were all guessing. Who is this guy? That Ji Kingen and Han Jingnian treat so specially. You have to know, Ji Kingen changes boyfriends more often than she changes clothes. But someone Han Jingnian gets this close to. I'm the first. Han Jingnian rested his arm on my shoulder. Yichen, why don't you just reveal your identity? Like me at school. Everyone who sees me calls me young Master Han. I rubbed my temples. Of course, I knew Song Qian was just joking, but the constant buzzing in my ears left me to drain to even pretend to respond. I rolled my eyes. What? Should I wear a sign and parade around school? Han Jingnian gave an awkward smile. No need for that. I sighed. I just don't like that kind of attention. I don't want to explain too much. Things are fine the way they are now. The people around me like me for who I am, not because of my status. Like Yuji. If he had known my identity from the start, he might not have dared get close. Song Qian cut in. I think Yichen's way is pretty good. Staying low-key is fine. Han Jingnian glared at her. Now you say that. I rubbed my temples and stood up. My head hurts. I'm going out for some air. Han Jingnian said, I'll go with you. I shook my head. No need. I'm just walking around outside. By the way, why hasn't Ji Kingen come back out? Han Jingnian still felt uneasy, but remembered that no one ever dared cause trouble in this bar. So he finally nodded in agreement. A few minutes later, just as I had stepped out, Ji Kingen pushed open the private room door and came out. Her eyes scanned the seat where I had been sitting. She found I was gone. She immediately grabbed Han Jingnian, who was just about to stand up. Where is he? Han Jingnian pointed toward the entrance. Yichen didn't like the noise, so he went out for air. Ji Kingen's tone suddenly turned cold. You just let him go out alone. Han Jingnian shrunk back a little. He said he just wanted to be alone for a bit. He's just outside the bar. It should be fine. He said he wanted to be alone. Do you really believe there's such a thing as a completely safe place? Ever since I was nearly assassinated last time, she'd been extremely protective of my safety. Even though the mastermind had been dealt with, she still felt uneasy, just thinking I might be in danger alone. Ji Kingen couldn't sit still anymore. Outside the bar, I took a deep breath of fresh air. The deafening music from earlier inside the bar, and the heavy smell of smoke and alcohol gave me a pounding headache. Now, I finally felt a bit better. Suddenly, a panicked boy turned the corner. Sorry. The boy apologized in a rush and ran off like he was fleeing for his life. Suddenly, a strong arm grabbed the boy. Help. The boy screamed in terror. Startled by the sudden situation, I took 2 steps back. A middle-aged man with a thuggish face was roughly yanking the boy. It's just selling a kidney. Not like I'm taking your life. The man cursed and slapped the boy's head. Try running again. The boy struggled desperately, crying out, I don't want to go. Help me. He pressed his feet hard against the ground, his face full of fear. Smack. The man slapped him hard across the face. Blood trickled from the corner of the boy's mouth. Still, he pleaded to passersby, please help me. The man glared around fiercely. He's my son. Who dares interfere in family business? The onlookers murmured to one another. Could he be a human trafficker? There have been a lot of cases like this online recently. But what if they really are father and son? That dad is way too cruel. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. The boy stood there, battered and scared under the dim light. I couldn't see his face clearly, but I could tell he had a delicate, fair face. Hearing the crowd whispering around me, my heart tightened. Could he really be a trafficker? Even if not, I couldn't bear to watch the boy in that situation. I gathered my courage and was about to step forward when someone suddenly pulled me back. What are you doing? Jiu Kingan's voice rang in my ear. Surprised, I asked, why did you come out? Jiu Kingan grabbed my hand. Come back to the bar. I didn't move. I stood there and watched the boy being dragged away violently. No one dared to step in. I turned to look at Jiu Kingan. Qinghanda? Jiu Kingan said coldly, it's a family matter. Stay out of it. Once you're involved, it's hard to walk away. But when she accidentally looked up and saw the boy's face, she suddenly froze and let go. I dashed forward. I looked at Jiu Kingan in surprise. She had just said she didn't want to meddle. So, why did she suddenly rush in? I quickly ran after her. As I arrived, I saw Jiu Kingan confronting the man. At that moment, the bar security rushed over. The leader respectfully called out, Miss Jiu. Do you need any assistance? The thug froze, finally taking a closer look at Jiu Kingan. This wasn't just some rich kid. She was clearly a daughter of a powerful family. He instantly changed his tone, forcing a smile. Rubbing his hands, he said, Miss Jiu, you're a noble person. Please don't stoop to our level. Jiu Kingan curled her lip with contempt. She had seen too many people like him get lost. Suddenly, Insecurity collapsed to the ground. We quickly rushed to the hospital. After an examination, the doctor said Insecurity had fainted due to emotional distress and malnutrition. I was shocked. Malnutrition? The doctor finished explaining some precautions and left. A nurse hooked up an IV of nutrients for Insecurity. Before long, he woke up. Jiu Kingan's voice came through. How are you feeling? Insecurity turned his head and saw her. Was it not a dream? He got so excited he tried to sit up. I quickly held him down. Don't rush. You're still hooked up to IV. I pointed to the IV drip. Only then did Insecurity obediently lie back down. I looked at Jiu Kingan, remembering she had said something to Insecurity on the way to the hospital. I hesitated, unsure whether to leave, but Jiu Kingan pulled over to chairs and motioned for me to sit beside her. My eyes lit up. Since she was the one inviting me to stay, then I wouldn't be intruding. I happily sat down. Insecurity looked at us in confusion. When he finally snapped out of it, he cautiously asked, I don't think I know you right. Before Jiu Kingan could answer, she asked back, 7 years ago, did you ever go to the Peach Lake Resort? Insecurity tried hard to remember. The lakeside resort. I did, he suddenly exclaimed, eyes wide in surprise. You're the little girl who fainted. I was stunned when I heard that. The memory suddenly became clear. At that time, I saw Jiu Kingan was about to wake up. I quickly ran to find an adult. When I came back, I saw a little boy accompanying him from a distance. When we walked over, the little boy had already left. When I tried hard to recall what happened 7 years ago, I vaguely remembered a little boy showing up. I didn't think much about it back then. I thought he was just a passerby. But Jiu Kingan actually remembered so clearly. Has she been searching for him all these years? My heart suddenly felt heavy, like a stone was blocking it. I was desperate to know what happened between them during the time I was gone. Otherwise, why would Jiu Kingan remember for so long? Seeing Insecurity so happy, my emotions became even more mixed. Their expressions formed a stark contrast. Jiu Kingan hadn't noticed my odd behavior. She was focused on waiting for Insecurity to recall. I was that little girl. Insecurity said excitedly, his eyes lighting up. He didn't expect to meet like this again. He let down all his guard, acting warmly like seeing an old friend. How did you recognize me? It's been so many years. Jiu Kingan looked at him. You haven't changed much. I can still see your childhood features, but I couldn't recognize you at all. Insecurity said awkwardly, a bit embarrassed. Seeing the two chatting happily, I felt extremely uneasy. That accident 7 years ago, I was clearly there too, but couldn't join in their conversation. I felt like a complete outsider. Fu Shalai suddenly interrupted the moment. Jiu Kingan finally noticed my gloomy expression. It's getting late. She stood up and told Insecurity, the medical bills have all been paid. Have a good rest. Then she held my hand. And Zixuan's gaze fell on our hands clasped together. He forced a smile. Thanks for tonight. Speaking of tonight. His expression dimmed. Jiu King'an said firmly, don't worry. I'll help you take care of it. After getting in the car, Jiu King'an teased. Why so unhappy? Give me a smile. I slapped her hand away. I don't want to. Jiu King'an poked my cheek. Come on, smile. I turned my head, ignoring her. There has to be a reason you don't want to smile. Nope, I urged. Hurry up and drive. But the car didn't move. Jiu King'an suddenly touched my shoulder. What about this? I turned impatiently. Caught off guard, I saw her making a silly face. Theft. Childish. Jiu King'an then made a pig face, scrunching her nose. I held back my laughter. Not funny. She sighed helplessly. Looks like I have to use my ultimate move. I looked at her curiously, thinking, this rich young master is actually lowering herself to cheer me up. Suddenly, she leaned in, with a mischievous look in her eyes. What are you up to? Her devilish hands tickled my waist. Ha ha ha. Fine. I'll laugh. I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. Stop it. I'm super ticklish. Jiu King'an's hands were like they had a tracker installed. No matter how I dodged, I couldn't escape. Ha ha ha. Stop messing around. I laughed so hard I couldn't straighten up. Tears were almost coming out. Say, wife, I love you, and I'll let you go. Jiu Jingxian grinned mischievously, making demands. My brain was scrambled by the tickling, and I nearly blurted out, wife. Then I suddenly came to my senses and directly rejected her. It was already very late when we got back to the apartment. As soon as I entered, I collapsed on the sofa. I'm hungry, Jiu King'an said while putting down the keys and making a call. Give me the investigation results tomorrow. She glanced at me lying on the sofa, and after hanging up, I sat up and asked, you're investigating Zixuan's father? Jiu King'an nodded. That situation in his family needs to be completely resolved. I hugged a pillow without saying anything. Jiu King'an rubbed my head. What are you overthinking now? Don't touch my hair. I irritably dodged her. So annoying. Jiu King'an stared at me for a few seconds. Then she asked seriously, do you think that I mistook Zixuan for my savior? I stayed silent, waiting for her to continue. That's exactly what I thought. It was a critical moment back then. The last person she saw before fainting was Zixuan. It would be understandable to remember it wrong. Silly girl, Jiu King'an sighed softly, with a slight smile. How could I remember it wrong? You were the one who saved me. The weight in my heart finally lifted. Thankfully, it didn't turn into a cliché drama. Otherwise, I would have been furious. Who was worried about that? I denied it stubbornly. You were still conscious in the water back then. I used a stick to pull you out. If I remembered that wrong too, my intelligence would really be embarrassing. But there's still something I don't get. During the time I went to find an adult, what exactly did Zixuan do that made her unforgettable for 7 years? Thinking about it again left me a little uneasy. Jiu King'an gazed into my eyes. So my life belongs to you. I turned around, stared straight into her eyes. Really? Your life is mine? Only I get to decide, no one else, right? Jiu King'an nodded seriously, then suddenly leaned in. So, what do you want to do to me? Anything goes. I pushed her away. Who wants to do anything to you? But this woman wouldn't give up. She leaned in again. I said no. Frustrated, I raised my fist and punched her hard. I'm more and more confused. Does this woman actually like me or not? If she doesn't, why does she keep teasing me? If she does, why won't she just say it clearly? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I grabbed the pillow and threw it hard at Jiu King'an. From now on, don't even think about sleeping in the bedroom ever again. Sleep on the sofa for life. I ran back to the bedroom, slamming the door loudly. Jiu King'an sat quietly on the sofa, not chasing after me. The next morning, I was woken up by hunger. I was so mad last night I didn't eat and went straight to sleep. Now my stomach was growling. Half awake, I opened my eyes, instinctively looking for that familiar face. Jiu King'an was sleeping right next to me. I suddenly realized, wait, didn't I tell her to sleep on the sofa last night? This guy actually sneaked in. I angrily raised my hand, but looking at her peaceful sleeping face, I couldn't bring myself to hit her. Jerk. I tried to escape from her embrace, but Jiu King'an pulled me back in. I thought she was awake, ready to slap her, but she was still sound asleep. I stared at her face in a daze. She really is good looking. Thinking about that kiss yesterday, my face suddenly turned red. Does she actually like me? It's my first time facing feelings like this, and I'm a bit lost. I want to say something, but I'm afraid to. Forget it. I made a silly face at Ji Kingen, then quietly slipped out of bed. Let's just go with the flow. I walked to the bathroom smiling, feeling so happy inside. Usually, she's the one stealing kisses. This time, I finally turned the tables a bit, even though I only meant to kiss her cheek. Kissing her lips wasn't bad either. It's not like it was the first time anyway. I pretended to act calm as I walked away, but didn't even dare to look back once. Just as the door closed, the sleeping Ji Kingen on the bed opened her eyes. Her eyes were full of laughter. In the kitchen, I was fumbling around in the kitchen. Ji Kingen quietly approached. Suddenly, she wrapped her arms around my waist from behind. What's my husband busy with? I was so startled I flinched. My ears instantly turned red. I elbowed her away. Go away. Don't mess around. Ji Kingen peeked at the counter. Her smile froze instantly. You spent all this time just to make instant noodles? I confidently picked up the cup. None of your business. I pushed her aside and walked toward the sofa. Ji Kingen tried to grab the noodles. You're not allowed to eat that. I reached out to snatch it back. I'm starving. Delivery takes forever. I can't take it anymore. So I had to dig up some instant noodles. Ji Kingen snatched the noodles away. I looked at her pitifully. I'm starving. Just one bite, okay? Ji Kingen stayed firm. Wait. I'll heat up some milk to fill you up first. Then fry an egg. Some sausage, and a beef sandwich too, she said as she walked back to the kitchen. My eyes lit up. Can't believe the young master herself is actually going to cook. Just then, Ji Kingen's phone suddenly rang. She frowned and answered. What is it? I'll be right there. I asked. What's wrong? Something happened to Insecurity. I have to go to the hospital right now. Ji Kingen's face turned serious. My smile disappeared instantly. I silently watched her take away the noodles. I tried to control my expression, but I just couldn't smile. Ji Kingen clearly said she would make me breakfast. Now she's abandoning me for another guy. I forced myself to ask. What happened exactly? It's Insecurity's dad. He found out he's in the hospital and made a huge scene. The doctors couldn't handle it, so they called me. Ji Kingen looked at me with hesitation. I forced a smile. Then you'd better go. I held my rumbling stomach in pain and said nothing more. After saying that, I picked up the instant noodles and walked to the table. I deliberately avoided looking at her. Ji Kingen suddenly turned and walked to the fridge. I lowered my head, stirring the noodles. I was clearly starving, but couldn't eat a single bite. I heard the fridge door open and close. Then came the sound of footsteps heading to the kitchen. I was wondering when I heard Ji Kingen on the phone saying, I'm heading to the hospital now. Stabilize the situation. I'll be there soon. Don't let anyone leave. After the call ended, from the kitchen came the beeping sound of a machine starting. I couldn't help but lift my head. My seat was directly facing the kitchen. As soon as I looked up, I met Ji Kingen's gaze. She seemed like she had been waiting for me to look. I really can't do anything with you. My heart trembled slightly. I stared at her in a daze. Don't eat that junk. Food will be ready soon. Her hands didn't stop moving, but she looked a bit clumsy. When cracking the egg, some shell fell into the bowl. She frowned and tried fishing it out with her fingers. Eventually, she used chopsticks to get it out. In less than 10 minutes, breakfast was served in front of me. Milk, eggs, and sausage. Eat these first. I'll come back after handling things. After saying that, she rushed out the door. The door slammed behind her. That's when I snapped out of it. I turned to look at the door. She was already gone. I held the warm cup of milk in my hands, the warmth spreading through my whole body. I took small sips, letting the hot milk slide into my empty stomach. My whole body started to feel better. My appetite suddenly came back. I quickly finished everything on the plate. Even though Ji Kingen's cooking wasn't great, at least it filled my stomach. After eating, a wave of longing washed over me. I wondered if Ji Kingen had reached the hospital yet, and what kind of trouble Insecurity's dad was causing again. I wondered how the situation was going. At first, I felt really sorry for Insecurity. Having a father like that is truly pitiful. But then I remembered the way Insecurity looked at Ji Kingen, and my heart started to ache with jealousy. The more I thought, the more restless I got. I suddenly stood up, hurriedly changed clothes, and rushed to the hospital. Without a personal driver, I had no choice but to take a cab. Sitting in the taxi, my thoughts started to drift again. What exactly happened between Ji Kingen and Insecurity 7 years ago? What's the story between them? Why does she care so much about Insecurity? Just the thought made my chest feel tight. Could it be that Jiu Kingen fell in love with Insecurity at first sight? I suddenly recalled what Song Keon said at the hot spring resort, that Jiu Kingen had been searching for a boy. Could that boy be Insecurity? My face slowly turned pale. It felt like a heavy stone was pressing on my chest. I could barely breathe. If there wasn't something between them, why would Jiu Kingen suddenly be obsessed with finding some so-called fated boy? I'm not stupid. My brain works just fine. Putting all these clues together, I felt like I found the answer. But it was an answer I didn't dare face. Just thinking that Jiu Kingen might have liked another boy before, and even held on to that feeling for 7 years. The driver suddenly turned and looked at me. Hey kid, are you okay? Your face is really pale. Are you sick? My eyes were slightly red. After calming down a bit, I forced a smile at the driver. I'm fine. Could you please go a little faster? I'm in a hurry. Right now, I just wanted to get to the hospital as fast as possible. I didn't want Jiu Kingen to be alone with Insecurity. The driver was still worried about me, thinking I was heading to the hospital for myself. So he quickly sped up the car. He even took a shortcut. About 10 minutes later, we finally arrived at the hospital. Before I got out of the car, the driver kindly said, "Young man, next time if you're seeing a doctor, don't come alone. Have a family member come with you, or at least a friend. That way you won't feel so alone or scared." I felt a wave of warmth and gave him a sincere smile. Thank you. The driver waved. Go on and then. Hope you get well soon. I turned around and walked into the hospital building, relying on my memory from the other day. I found the room where Insecurity was being kept. But as I stood at the door, I suddenly lost the courage to open it. What if I opened the door and saw Jiu Kingen and Insecurity together, looking close and intimate? Just as I was hesitating and staring at the doorknob, suddenly someone yanked the door open from the inside. Mr. N stormed out furiously, almost bumping into me. He yelled, "Get out of the way." Before I could react, Mr. N reached out to shove me. Suddenly, Jiu Kingen appeared out of nowhere. Who told you to yell at him? Her eyes turned icy cold, and her voice was filled with suppressed fury. Mr. N trembled in fear. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Jiu Kingen snapped, "Get out. Don't ever let me see you again." Mr. N fled in a panic, almost crawling away. When Jiu Kingen turned back to look at me, her expression immediately softened. Are you okay? I shook my head. I walked into the room and asked, what just happened? Is everything settled? And Insecurity stood by the hospital bed, watching the interaction between us. A trace of envy flashed in his eyes. He forced a smile at me. My dad is in a lot of debt. Debt collectors showed up last night. He came here to force me to keep earning money. The room was a complete mess. Broken objects were scattered all over the floor. I frowned and looked around the room. It was hard to imagine what kind of scene Insecurity's father had just caused here. I forced out a polite question. Are you okay? Thanks for your concern. Luckily, Kingen arrived just in time. As Insecurity spoke, he looked at Jiu Kingen with gentle eyes. The way he called her Kingen so intimately made my heart tighten. It felt like something was pressing hard on my chest. Jiu Kingen, standing behind me, still hadn't noticed the change in my expression. She said to Insecurity, let's go handle the discharge procedures now. Insecurity looked troubled. You've already helped me a lot. I can take care of the rest myself. I took a deep breath, forcing a smile as I interrupted. Can someone tell me what you're discussing? I was tired of being left out. Insecurity hesitated, making me even more suspicious. I simply stared at Jiu Kingen, waiting for her to explain. Jiu Kingen replied calmly. I'm finding him a place to stay. He can't go back home right now. My heart sank. Where would he be staying? Don't tell me it's what I think it is. After settling Insecurity in, the two of us returned to the apartment one after the other. Jiu Kingen quickly caught up with me, grabbing my arm. Husband is mad. Her tone was full of flattery. I turned and glared at her. What? Why not just let him move in here? I'll move out and give you to the place all to yourselves. Turns out Jiu Kingen was just lending him another apartment under his name. Good thing she didn't bring him here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let it go so easily. Besides, there's only one bedroom at home. Even if he wanted to stay, there's no room. I suddenly felt a little grateful for the way Gu's mom arranged things. I waited for Ji Kingen to continue coaxing me. After all, this really was her fault. But then she suddenly said, that's actually a good idea. I instantly turned and shoved her away. I glared at her with wide eyes. What did you just say? Say it again. Ji Kingen grinned mischievously and leaned closer. I was just teasing you. I tried to dodge, but she quickly pulled me into a hug. This is our home. How can I possibly let someone else move in? Why did you say something like that? It didn't sound good to me either. After hearing her explanation, I finally stopped struggling. I asked Ji Kingen sulkily, how long are you going to help him? I thought it was just a one-time thing, but it seemed more complicated now. The moment I asked, I regretted it. I must sound so petty, right? Ji Kingen looked into my eyes, as if deep in thought. If you don't want me to help, then I quickly shook my head. No, he really is pitiful. You should help him. Thinking about Insecurity being pushed to the edge by his dad made me feel sorry for him. Besides, Insecurity seems pretty sensible too. Ji Kingen suddenly kissed me. My husband is so kind. Get off me. I blushed and pushed her away. Yes, sir, my dear husband. I'll be off then. Ji Kingen grinned shamelessly. I was both angry and embarrassed. Who's your husband? Ji Kingen suddenly narrowed her eyes and threatened. Then whose husband do you want to be? I muttered softly. Definitely not yours. Say that again. I dare you. Ji Kingen's face suddenly darkened. I shrank back a little. I didn't say it was someone else. She said domineeringly. Don't even think about it. I widened my eyes. This time, Ji Kingen clearly wasn't in the mood to joke anymore. Weekend morning. Han Jingnian called Yichin. Come to my place and have a chat. I briefly mentioned Insecurity over the phone. Han Jingnian immediately perked up. What? Come over and tell me everything. After getting ready, I headed out. I was packing my bag. Make sure Ji Kingen drives you. Don't give her a chance to meet that man. Han Jingnian reminded me. I suddenly fell silent on the other end. She's not home, Han Jingnian quickly sensed it. Yang didn't go to find that guy, did she? I gave a bitter smile. She left early this morning. Now that he said that, I started to feel uneasy. Panicked, Han Jingnian stomped his foot. Go check right now. Guys these days can be very cunning. Be careful, I replied slowly. Don't scare me. Although I care. I feel like Insecurity seems quite innocent. I'm serious, Han Jingnian said seriously, just like Baihao. As he spoke, when Lin suddenly remembered. Someone's here. Talk later. I hung up the phone, opened the door, and found Insecurity standing at the door. Hello. Insecurity nodded with a smile. I froze in place. Speak of the devil. Insecurity held a cake tray. I made some cake and brought it for you to try. What flavor do you like? Next time I can make your favorite. I took the tray. The strawberry aroma hit my nose. My expression changed slightly. How did Insecurity know I like strawberries? Was it a coincidence or did Ji Kingen tell him? I forced a smile. I really like this flavor. Thanks. Insecurity shyly touched his nose. I usually enjoy making desserts myself. It's cheaper and tastes better. I put the cake in the fridge. Casually asked, you must be good at cooking. Insecurity's eyes lit up. Not bad. I usually cook at home. How about I cook for you guys another day? I was about to politely decline. But my eyes were drawn to Insecurity's shirt. He noticed my gaze and explained a little awkwardly. Kingen bought it for me. I had nothing to change into that day. My face instantly turned pale. That shirt was the one Ji Kingen had forcibly given to me before. After seeing Insecurity off, I rushed into the walk-in closet, pulled open the innermost wardrobe. Seeing the empty closet, I froze completely. Where are the clothes? Where did they all go? My heart felt like it was being twisted. Tears suddenly welled up. Ji Kingen, you've gone too far. Even if I said I didn't like those clothes, she shouldn't have given them all to Insecurity. Bang! I slammed the closet door shut and stormed out of the house. At Han's place, Han Jingnian was furious after hearing it and slammed the table. Ji Kingen must be crazy. Bicken, you're too naive. I was at a loss. What could I do? Tell her not to help Insecurity? Han Jingnian curled his lips. Yeah, exactly. Then you'd be the bad guy. Suddenly my phone rang. Must be Ji Kingen. Han Jingnian nudged me. Answer it. I'll help you scold her. I looked at the caller ID and picked up angrily. Ji Kingan's voice came through. Where did you go? Why didn't you say anything before going out? I don't want to talk to you, I said angrily. Are you mad? Ji Kingan suddenly chuckled. Did you miss me? As if. Han Jingnian gave me a meaningful look. I suddenly broke into sobs. Ji Kingan immediately panicked. Yichin. What's wrong? Han Jingnian snatched the phone away and hung up right away. Then even turned it off. Yichin, you need to teach her a lesson. Let her panic a little, so she realizes how important you are. I felt a bit worried. I just suddenly screamed and hung up. She must be going crazy not being able to reach me. Han Jingnian didn't think much of it. You're just as soft-hearted. If you're not a bit more proactive, Ji Kingan will be snatched away. I suddenly got serious. If she can be snatched that easily, then I don't want that kind of love anyway. What I want is a one-of-a-kind love. If I'm not irreplaceable to her, then I'd rather not have it. Han Jingnian quickly told the masseur. Speed up. Stop overthinking. I'll take you somewhere later. Let Ji Kingan panic for today. Meanwhile, Insecurity returned to the apartment. Wang Ziyu rushed over. How was it? Did she eat the cake? Insecurity shook his head disappointedly. She wasn't home. Only Jiang Yichin was there. Wang Ziyu frowned. So the cake went to your love rival? Insecurity sighed. I couldn't exactly take it back, could I? He slumped down listlessly. Wang Ziyu teased, look at you. You miss her so much your soul's gone. Insecurity hurriedly denied it. Don't talk nonsense. Wang Ziyu pointed at his new shirt. Isn't that the one she just gave you? You were so happy earlier. Now you're all down because you didn't see her. Seeing him stay quiet, Wang Ziyu kept offering ideas. You're such a good cook. You should go cook for her. Win her heart through her stomach. Soon you'll be able to move in with her. Insecurity said hesitantly. I already mentioned it, but Jiang Yichin seems to be wary of me. Wang Ziyu sneered. Who cares? Maybe he's just shamelessly clinging on, insisting on living at Ji Kingan's house. Seeing his expression soften, Wang Ziyu immediately pressed forward. Zixuan, this is a great opportunity, you can't miss it. Even if you have to fight for him, get Ji Kingan. And Zixuan's eyes gradually became determined. Yeah. How could he give up on Ji Kingan? Just thinking of how she protected me drives me completely crazy. What guy wouldn't want such a beautiful and wealthy girlfriend? And Zixuan asked softly. What should I do? Wang Ziyu grinned slyly. Finally admitting you like her. Do you know how powerful Ji Kingan is? Wang Ziyu lowered his voice. Kezan from class 2 only rose up because he was her ex. If you win her over, you'll be flying high in no time. And Zixuan shook his head. Don't joke around. But the image of Kezan in the spotlight flashed through his mind. Kezan isn't even as good looking as you. Wang Ziyu looked over his name brand outfit. Look at yourself now. You already look like a young master. As long as you dress up well, you'll crush them easily. Seeing Zixuan still hesitant, Wang Ziyu gave a mysterious smile. You know what's most important? He leaned in close. It's how much you mean to Ji Kingan. She's held on to your memory for 7 years. That means you're really special to her. Those words hit him like a jolt of adrenaline. And Zixuan couldn't help but smile. His eyes lit up with determination. Once you and Ji Kingan are together, don't forget your good bro here. And Zixuan laughed. Don't talk nonsense. Maybe she doesn't even like me. Wang Ziyu widened his eyes dramatically. If she didn't like you, would she let you stay in a mansion and gave you designer clothes? He knows Insecurity too well. These are things he's definitely thought about already. He just wanted someone else to say it out loud to feel satisfied. At the cafe, I looked at Han Jingnian, confused. This is the place you wanted to bring me. Han Jingnian mysteriously pointed to a corner. Look over there. Muxue. I gasped, then quickly lowered my voice. You brought me here to spy on her? That's way too creepy. Han Jingnian lay down on the table, longingly staring over there. Otherwise, I wouldn't get to see her on weekends. You're not planning to sit here all day watching, are you? Han Jingnian quietly defended himself. Just half a day. She gets off at 6. I sighed helplessly. Suddenly heard a cold, calm voice. What would you two like to drink? Han Jingnian immediately buried his face in the tablecloth. I awkwardly looked up. What a coincidence. So you work here? Muxue smiled slightly. I thought you'd came here just to see me. I laughed at that. So, you can joke now. Just learned recently. Muxue answered seriously. Han Jingnian finally lifted his head, waved, and smiled. What a coincidence. Didn't expect to see you here. Muxue nodded, smiling with her eyes. It really is. Han Jingnian suddenly felt guilty. Did he see me all those times I came here before? If so, saying what a coincidence now sounds. I quickly changed the subject. Any drink recommendations from your cafe, Sue? Muxue handed over the menu. It's on me. Consider it a thank you for cheering me on during the competition. I smiled. We know you got the prize money. But if you treat us, we won't dare to come again. Just then, another staff member rushed over. Your phone keeps ringing. Might be something urgent. Muxue frowned, thanks. She turned to me and said, I'll go take the call. I waved her off. Go ahead. Go ahead. We're all friends here. Only then did Han Jingnian lift his head. What's wrong? Why is she in such a hurry? I teased him. Looks like the shy little snail finally poked his head out. Han Jingnian blushed and smacked me. What are you saying? But seriously, what happened? They said her phone kept ringing. Han Jingnian swooned dreamily. She looked so beautiful in that uniform. Suddenly I saw Muxue rushing out in a panic. Something's wrong. I grabbed Han Jingnian and ran after him. Muxue was frantically trying to hail a cab by the road. It's hard to catch a ride in the business district on weekends. She looked pale. I quickly said, I don't have a car, but I'll take you. Han Jingnian immediately called for his family driver. Muxue's voice was suppressed, eyes red. Thanks. After the three of us got in the car, she said urgently, to the city hospital. At the hospital, we learned that Muxue's mom had suddenly fainted. Her condition was critical. By the time Muxue arrived, she had already been sent into a hospital room. She anxiously asked the nurse, Is my mom okay? The nurse replied, She's stable for now, but you'll need to ask the doctor for details. The patient needs a quiet environment to rest. But the ward was noisy and chaotic. A couple in the next bed were arguing, and a baby was crying. Han Jingnian quietly suggested, I know the hospital director. I can help you get a private room. Muxue shook her head and declined, no need. I couldn't stand it. I grabbed her and said, What are you holding on to so tightly? What's more important, your pride or your mom's health? Seeing she stayed silent, I turned to leave. If you don't see me as a friend, I'll leave right now. Muxue hurriedly grabbed me, don't go. In the end, she gave in. 10 minutes later, Sue's mom was transferred to a quiet private room. Muxue looked a bit guilty. A regular room would have been fine. Han Jingnian smiled and said, The others were full. The director said we could use it for free. The three of us split up the tasks. Muxue went to get the medical report. Han Jingnian went to buy food. I stayed outside the hospital room. Then I went for a walk downstairs to clear my mind. When I returned, I saw Muxue slumped on a bench looking defeated. I quietly walked over and sat down. Noticed her eyes were red. I gently asked, Is there something wrong with Annie's checkup? Muxue's voice was hoarse. The doctor said it was the result of years of overwork. But he didn't say the rest. The situation might not be optimistic. I firmly patted her shoulder. Annie will definitely get better. Suddenly Muxue asked, Can I have a hug? I nodded in agreement, and she pulled me tightly into her arms. In the distance, Han Jingnian had just returned with shopping bags and saw the scene. Before he could react, Jiu Qing'an had already rushed over. What are you doing? I cried out in shock. Jiu Qing'an yanked me away and was about to punch Muxue. I stopped her. Stop. Jiu Qing'an gritted her teeth, making me even angrier. You don't understand anything. Han Jingnian quickly ran over to calm her down. I gently said to Muxue, Go take care of Annie first. After Muxue left, I immediately shook Jiu Qing'an's hand off. Jiu Qing'an demanded, Explain yourself right now. I scoffed coldly. I'm not wasting my breath on you. I turned and walked away. So angry my chest felt tight. What right did she have to question me like that? She hasn't even explained the clothing situation yet. Jiu Qing'an strode forward, grabbed my wrist and looked at me. You're mad at me, aren't you? I mimicked her usual teasing tone. Not at all. Jiu Qing'an grew irritated. This isn't it, not at all. You hugged another girl, and I'm not allowed to be mad. I pouted. You're the one being unreasonable. She's the one who made me upset first. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. I struggled hard, trying to break free. Jiu Qing'an frowned. Don't move around. You'll hurt yourself. Han Jingnian, holding his shopping bags, tried to calm me. Yichen, She's not worth it. Jiu King gave Han Jingni a sharp glare. He shrank back in fear. Suddenly, I gave in. Forget it. I'm not leaving. Let go. I changed the subject tiredly. How did you find me here? Only then did Jiu King let go. I figured you'd be at Han's house. I asked the driver and found out you came to the hospital. Han Jingni took the chance to slip away. I'll go take the food to Muxue. You to take your time talking. Jiu King stared at me. She still felt something was off. I shrugged. Now that you've confirmed I'm safe, you can leave. I paused. Oh right? Muxue and I are just friends she needed comforting. Unlike some people. Jiu King suddenly said. Haven't you always wanted to know why I hate her? I froze. You're finally going to say it. Jiu King pointed outside. To my car. It's not convenient here. I looked at her suspiciously. You're not trying to trick me into getting in the car, are you? Jiu King was clearly displeased. You really don't trust me now. I just scoffed and didn't answer, but still followed her up. Once inside the car, I crossed my arms and urged her, hurry up and talk. Jiu King gripped the steering wheel and gave me a glance, then began, you know, in families like ours, we hate illegitimate children the most. I froze. What does that have to do with Muxue? Suddenly my eyes widened. You mean she's the illegitimate child of some rich family? Whose? Jiu Pinguin's. Jiu King curled her lips in disdain. I was too shocked to speak. It took me a while before I finally asked, are you serious? How do you know that? Jiu King snorted coldly. You think I asked one actress to know? I found out by accident too. Muxue is Uncle Gu's illegitimate daughter. I muttered to myself. It was hard to accept that truth. Jiu King got even more annoyed seeing me like that, as if I was about to go and ask Muxue to confirm it. Anyway, stay away from her. The Jiu family is complicated, and Muxue isn't someone simple either. She might end up using you someday. I stayed silent, not sure if I really took it in, but in my mind I wondered if Su's mom was really Jiu Pinguin's mistress. Why did she still have to work so hard? And why did Muxue also suffer? But I didn't say any of that out loud. Didn't want to argue with Jiu King again. Let's go home, Jiu King said as she started the car. I suddenly said, I don't want to go back to the apartment. I'm his mom. Let's go back to the main house. Jiu King didn't sense anything odd. She figured it had been a while since we last went back, so she agreed. But what she didn't expect was, as soon as we got to the Jiu house, I said I wanted to stay for a few days. And Jiu was overjoyed. She refused to let Jiu King take me away no matter what. In the end, Jiu King had no choice but to stay too. I made plans with Han Jingnian to visit Muxue's mother at the hospital. Before school even let out, the two of us sneaked out the school gate. The guard watched us and let us through without a word. The Han family's car was already waiting outside. As we neared the hospital, Han Jingnian suddenly remembered something. Aren't you going to let Jiu King know? Or she get mad again if she can't find you? I casually responded, then pulled out my phone and sent a quick text, done. I told her. I neatly put my phone away. Han Jingnian stared. That's it. What else? She told me to report in this counts, doesn't it? I replied carelessly. Han Jingnian leaned closer to me. You've been giving Jiu King the cold shoulder these past 2 days. Still mad at her? I snorted and ignored him. Han Jingnian saw right through it. It was clearly just a lover's spat. No wonder Jiu King had been so moody lately. At the hospital, we had just arrived outside the ward. When a nurse told us, Su went to the doctor's office. The nurse kindly reminded us. Han Jingnian's eyes lit up. He winked at me, Yichin. Go on, go on. I waved him off. I'll go see Annie first. You go find her, then Muxue, and I will come find you later. Han Jingnian skipped away happily. I shook my head with a smile and gently pushed open the ward door. Anisu was staring out the window in a daze. She turned around at the sound and smiled gently. You're Mux's friend, right? Hello, Annie. I'm Jiang Yichin. I was surprised she already knew who I was. Anisu warmly gestured. Come, sit here. After I sat down, I quietly observed this gentle and graceful woman. She didn't look like the type to be someone's kept woman at all. After some small talk, Anisu asked directly, Is there something you want to ask me? About Muxue? I took a deep breath, Annie. Can I ask you something? If you don't want to answer, that's okay. Go ahead, Anisu smiled, as warm as spring sunlight. Do you know Jiyu Pingyuan? As soon as I said it, Anisu's smile instantly froze. Her face turned pale. I nervously asked, did I say something wrong? Lu Qianlun snapped out of it. She looked at me warily. You know Jiyu Pingyuan? What's your relationship with him? He's just an elder I know. I quickly explained. Lu Qianlun's gaze was complicated. What do you know? I hesitated for a moment, then asked, I heard he's Su Muxue's father. Is it true? Lu Qianlun let out a heavy sigh. It's true. I felt conflicted inside. Then you and Uncle Jiyu. I hesitated, not knowing what to say, afraid of hurting her. I said, you don't seem like that kind of person. Is there more to the story? Lu Qianlun frowned. What kind of person? I stammered, unable to say it out loud. Lu Qianlun suddenly laughed, but with anger. Is that what the Jiyu family said about me? That's what my friend told me. Lu Qianlun's eyes turned red. She was holding back tears. This is outrageous. I panicked. I'm sorry, Annie. I shouldn't have asked. Lu Qianlun wiped her eyes. It's not your fault. I should thank you for telling me this. Seeing that I still wanted to ask more, Lu Qianlun offered, you want to know the truth? If you don't want to talk about it, Lu Qianlun sneered, there's nothing I can't say. It's the Jiyu family who should be ashamed. She looked out the window. I was Jiyu Pingyuan's first wife. The one now is just a mistress who took my place. I stared at her in shock. So, you were Uncle Gu's legal wife. Turns out, back then, when Jiyu Pingyuan was fighting over the inheritance, he thought Lu Qianlun was useless. A mistress seduced him at that moment. She not only kicked out the pregnant Lu Qianlun from the Jiyu family, but also framed her natal family, causing them to break ties and turn against each other. After hearing the whole story, I gasped in disbelief. I felt indignant for Lu Qianlun. Isn't this a classic case of abandoning your wife for a mistress? I never would have thought. That Uncle Jiyu, who always treated me well, was actually this kind of man. Reality truly is more cruel than we imagine. After school that afternoon, Han Jingnian came with me to the apartment to get some things. How long are you planning to stay mad at Jiyu Kingen? Han Jingnian advised me to talk things out and make up soon. I stood at the elevator and said I didn't want to make up. Han Jingnian sighed, although Jiyu Kingen went too far this time. But seeing you unhappy every day, it hurts me more. He suggested I ask him directly. If Jiyu Kingen really likes Insecurity, then you should give up for good. I explained. I'm not upset because of her. I'm in a bad mood, because I just found out about Su Muxue's background. The adult world is way too complicated. The elevator arrived. The two of us walked in, and Insecurity came in and saw me. He immediately stopped joking. Hi. Haven't seen you with King in these past days. Han Jingnian raised an eyebrow coldly. He instantly recognized this was Insecurity. Wang Zi looked them up and down, seeing their designer clothes. His eyes turned red with jealousy. Insecurity, is this the new friend you mentioned? He asked with a fake smile. And Insecurity nodded. This is Jiang Yichin. He's my friend. Before I could say anything, Han Jingnian jumped in. He crossed his arms and said with disdain, no need for introductions. I don't want to know. Some shameless people anyway. Wang Zi immediately blew up. Who are you calling shameless? And Insecurity's face also turned dark. Han Jingnian arrogantly glanced at Insecurity. I didn't say it was you. I meant someone who, if not for Yichin's help, would have been forced by his own father to sell a kidney. No way he'd be living in a mansion wearing designer brands. Wang Zi sneered. How ridiculous. It was Jiyu Kingen who saved him. What does that have to do with him? Trying to take credit, how shameless. Han Jingnian snorted. Look in the mirror. That face of yours is a waste of a reflection. Wang Zi got so mad he was about to attack. But Insecurity held him back tightly. Insecurity tried to calm him. Don't be impulsive. Wang Zi pointed at Han Jingnian and yelled. They look down on us. So what if they have money? Han Jingnian sneered. Having money isn't a big deal. But being poor and asterisk shameless like you guys. Now asterisk that's asterisk disgusting. I tugged on Han Jingnian's sleeve. Let it go. Han Jingnian flicked his hair. One last thing. He stared at Wang Zi. If Yichin hadn't told Jiyu Kingen to save you, you think you'd still be standing here? If Yichin just said the word, believe it or not, she could have you kicked out instantly. Wang Zi jumped up. Bullshit. Why would Jiyu Kingen ever listen to him? At that moment, The elevator doors opened. The security guard greeted respectfully Mr. Jiang. "Hello, Mr. Han." Wang Ziyu stomped his feet in frustration. "We live here too. Why don't you greet us the same way?" The guard's eyes darted around. He quickly put on a smile. "Oh my bad memory. You must be the guest Miss Jiyu invited, right? Then that makes you Mr. Jiang's guest too. Sorry, didn't recognize you earlier. Please forgive me." Wang Ziyu's face turned green with rage, and Zixuan quickly pulled him away. He forced a smile at me. "We'll head back to our room first." As soon as the elevator doors closed, Wang Ziyu exploded. "Why did you hold me back?" Those two were so infuriating. And Zixuan sighed. What was that security guard implying? He basically suggested Jiang Yichen is the master of the house. Theft. Wang Ziyu fumed. "If you ask me, you're the one who deserves that position more." And Zixuan stared at the elevator doors, his gaze clouded and unreadable. That evening, at Royal Jazz Bar, Jiu Qing'an sat across from the Qianchen, drinking in silence. The Qianchen raised an eyebrow. "You came straight to drink with me after getting back. Don't tell me you're heartbroken?" Jiu Qing'an took a frustrated gulp of her drink, then gave a mischievous smile. "No, I just lost my virginity." Jiu Qing'an leaned back in her seat. "Remember that boy I said I was looking for? Did you find him?" Jiu Qing'an rubbed her temples. "I'm not even sure. Something just feels off." The Qianchen swirled her drink. "Because of that kiss 7 years ago. So, what's off now?" Jiu Qing'an stammered for a bit, then finally said, "Bicken came back. I kissed him." The Qianchen was so shocked, her glass almost slipped. "What? You kissed Jiang Yichen?" The Qianchen was so shocked she almost jumped up. As the heir to one of the four great families, she had watched Jiu Qing'an and me grow up together. For years ago, I went to the US, so we kept in touch less. Now hearing we not only reunited, but kissed. Of course she was shocked. The Qianchen pressed curiously. "Are you two dating now?" Jiu Qing'an's eyes were deep and unreadable. "He suddenly came back to the country, and our families forced us to get engaged. Now we're living together. But I don't really know what kind of relationship this is." The Qianchen's eyes widened engaged. After hearing the whole story, the Qianchen analyzed. "So the problem is, you felt something when you kissed Yichen, but not for the boy from back then. So, you suspect you identified the wrong person." Jiu Qing'an nodded. 7 years ago, after falling into the water, while still groggy, she saw a boy giving her CPR. When she woke up, she saw in Zixuan's face. She never doubted that memory. Until now. The Qianchen leaned back on the sofa, smirking. "I have an idea. Go kiss that boy. See if the feeling's there." Jiu Qing'an immediately frowned, her face full of resistance. The Qianchen laughed meaningfully. "It's just a kiss. It can prove your theory. Isn't that worth it?" Jiu Qing'an glared at the Qianchen. She knew exactly what she was trying to do. She was obviously trying to provoke her into kissing in Zixuan. Just imagining it made her whole body uncomfortable. Right now, she only wanted to kiss one person, though she wasn't 100% sure yet. In her heart, she had already chosen me. Jiu Qing'an said irritably, "Stop giving dumb suggestions. I know exactly who I like." The Qianchen shrugged mischievously. "Then that's settled. If you know how you feel, what's there to struggle with? But I still care. That kiss I've remembered for 7 years. That boy I've thought about for 7 years. She really hopes that boy is me. Even if there's a 1 in 10,000 chance it's in Zixuan. She still feels conflicted." The Qianchen's blue eyes seemed to see through everything. "So what if it really was him who kissed you 7 years ago? What matters is who you like now." Jiu Qing'an gave a bitter smile. "You don't get it. What she cares about isn't the boy from 7 years ago. It's whether that boy is me." The Qianchen suddenly asked. "Why don't you just ask Yichen directly?" Jiu Qing'an fell silent. "If it's not him, he might mind." The Qianchen saw right through her. Jiu Qing'an nodded. "If it is him, I'll tell him. If it's not, this will stay buried in my heart forever." The Qianchen patted her shoulder. "Good luck." The two of them kept drinking glass after glass. Before they knew it, it was already late at night. The Qianchen called a driver and had the more drunk Jiu Qing'an taken back to her apartment. Meanwhile, I, unaware of anything, was lying on Gu's bed, angrily staring at the clock. What time is it already? Why isn't Jiu Qing'an back yet? I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. When I checked the time, it was already 11:30. I sat up abruptly. Ji Kingen, are you out messing around again? Thinking back to the first night she returned, she stayed out late and came back reeking of alcohol. Even though we're still in a Cold War, and I've been ignoring her on purpose, the moment she's not around, I can't help but overthink everything. Where is she right now? Who is she with? The room was too quiet. The more I lay there, the more restless I got. I got out of bed and went to the living room. Jiu Dad and Mom were already asleep. The butler came over and softly asked, "Sir, are you waiting for Miss?" I stubbornly said, "Of course not. I'm just thirsty. Needed a little walk." The butler smiled and didn't call me out on it. He handed me a bottle of mineral water and asked, "Would you like some late-night snacks?" I asked curiously, "I'm not even hungry." "Why are you suddenly asking that?" The butler smiled and said, "Miss specifically told us that you tend to get hungry at night. She asked us to always be ready." I froze for a moment. A warm feeling suddenly filled my heart. Most of the anger I felt toward Jiu King faded away. "No need." I shook my head. "You should go rest." After the butler left, I sipped the water. The usually tasteless water somehow tasted a little sweet tonight. I glanced at the time. I muttered softly, "If you're back before midnight, I'll forgive you." On the other side, Jiu Kingen was sitting in the night-driven car. The driver turned around and said, "We're here." He thought Jiu Kingen was dead drunk, but just as he finished speaking, Jiu Kingen in the back seat opened her eyes. Her gaze shifted from hazy to clear, as if she was never drunk. The driver was secretly shocked. Jiu Kingen pushed open the car door. The night wind hit her in the face. It sobered her up a bit. The driver only left after repeatedly confirming. Jiu Kingen staggered toward the apartment. Suddenly she stopped. Something felt wrong. She rubbed her temples. Yichin is at the mansion. I should go back there. Even though she drank a lot, she instinctively maintained a sober appearance. Right now, she just wanted to go home and hold me while sleeping. Just as she turned to leave, hurried footsteps sounded behind her. Kingen and Zixuan jogged over. His face lit up with unconcealed joy. "Why are you back so late?" Jiu Kingen frowned. "Why are you still up this late?" And Zixuan blushed. "I just went out for a walk." But he had been watching the surveillance feed, waiting for her to return. Jiu Kingen glanced at his pajamas. Without exposing him, he was about to leave, but suddenly remembered something. Why not ask directly about what happened 7 years ago? "I have something to ask you." She stopped walking, and Zixuan's heart began to race. He thought nervously, was he about to confess? Jiu Kingen stared at him, cutting straight to the point. 7 years ago, by the lake, when I fainted, was it you who gave me CPR?" And Zixuan was clearly stunned. It was completely unexpected. His mind raced rapidly. He quickly pieced things together. So she had mistaken the person who saved her back then, and had remembered it for 7 years. Now he finally remembered. 7 years ago, he really did see the kids by the lake. The little boy gave the little girl CPR. By the time he ran over, the little boy had already left. Just as he got close to check, the little girl woke up. He never expected that the little girl from back then would grow up to be this elegant woman in front of him. And by some twist of fate, she even saved him. And Zixuan nervously clenched his palms. A battle raged in his heart. If he told the truth, this connection would end. If he lied, maybe he could be with her. In the end, greed defeated his conscience. He forced himself to answer calmly, "Yeah. When I saw you had fainted, I gave you CPR." Jiu Kingen frowned deeply. His sharp gaze seemed to see right through him. "You sure?" And Zixuan's palms began to sweat, but he pretended to be relaxed. "Of course I remember, but it's nothing to fuss over. I just helped out, that's all." And Zixuan kept up his act. Pretending to be generous, he said, "No need to repay me." He calculated in his mind, saying that might make her want to repay him even more. Jiu Kingen scrutinized him with deep eyes. She didn't comment. "Thanks," she said flatly, then turned to leave, and Zixuan hurried after her. "Wait, where are you going? Aren't you staying here?" He had been wanting to ask where she and I had gone these past few days. Were they together? Jiu Kingen avoided his outstretched hand. "Goodbye," she said simply, but then suddenly turned toward the apartment. And Zixuan followed her joyfully, only to find she stayed silent the whole way. The elevator reached her floor. Jiu Kingen didn't even spare him a glance. As the elevator doors closed, Insecurity became even more fascinated by this woman he couldn't figure out. Inside the penthouse, Kingen walked straight into the walk-in closet. She sniffed the alcohol on herself, then quickly took a shower. She opened her wardrobe. Inside, everything was neat and tidy. The shirts originally meant for me were hanging. She turned and opened the opposite wardrobe. It was completely empty. A sly smile appeared at the corner of Kingen's mouth. It seemed like she was planning something. Kingen didn't know I had already noticed the empty wardrobe. She called her assistant. "Help me follow up on that batch of custom clothes from Italy. Have them delivered ASAP." The assistant responded immediately. "Understood. I'll contact them right away." After hanging up the call, Kingen looked at the empty wardrobe, imagining how surprised I'd be once it was filled with clothes. It was already late at night when I got home. The butler quietly reminded me, "Sir has been waiting for you." He fell asleep on the sofa. Kingen quietly walked to the sofa. He looked at me sleeping soundly. I murmured, "Jiu-Ching, calling you, bad woman." The next day at the school parking lot, some students saw us arriving together. They instantly came over gossiping. "You've made up?" "Of course not." I glanced at Kingen secretly. Han Jingnian pulled me aside and quietly asked, "Will you come with me to the hospital at noon to see Muxue's mom?" I agreed right away. "Sure." Han Jingnian happily hugged me. "You're the best?" Kingen came over and asked, "What are you talking about?" I answered directly, "We're going to visit Muxue's mom at noon." Han Jingnian widened his eyes in shock. Unexpectedly, Kingen just frowned slightly. "I'll take you there." She compromised. "Think about it." I left with Han Jingnian. Han Jingnian couldn't believe how easygoing she was today. I just smiled silently. Before the noon bell even rang, the two of us slipped out the school gate. Han Jingnian asked, "Didn't you say Kingen would take us?" I laughed. "I only said I'd think about it." Han Jingnian didn't expect me to be that ruthless. He couldn't help but feel sorry for Kingen. "Aren't you afraid she'd be mad?" I suddenly remembered something. I took out my phone and sent a text to Kingen. Han Jingnian leaned over to take a look and was instantly dumbfounded. Not only did I not give in, I also told him I wouldn't consider it anymore. I smiled as I walked. I said earlier I'd think about it and let her know. Now I'm just letting her know. At the hospital, the nurse said Muxue wasn't in the room. "Did she go see a doctor?" Han Jingnian asked. He pressed the question. The nurse shook her head, not sure where she went. Han Jingnian turned to me. "Where do you think she went?" "Maybe she went shopping or went home," I said. "I'll go look for her," Han Jingnian said and ran off. I walked into the ward. Lu Qianlin had just finished her meal. She smiled when she saw me. "You're here to see me again?" I asked with concern. "Annie, are you feeling better?" Lu Qianlin's smile slowly faded. "Not really." 20 minutes later, I walked out of the ward with red eyes. Lu Qianlin's words still echoed in my ears. "I don't want Muxue to beg that man from me. She's so proud." My chest felt tight with sorrow. Just then, Han Jingnian called. "I can't find her." "Did she come back to the ward?" I told a lie. I already left, afraid she'd noticed something was off. I quickly left through the back stairs, but I bumped into Muxue on the lawn. Muxue was helping an elderly lady walk slowly. There was a gentle smile on her face. Then an old man walked over. He took the elderly lady's hand. After nodding and thanking Muxue, the two of them slowly walked away together. I sat down on a bench nearby. Muxue looked at me in surprise. I asked, "Do you know that elderly lady?" Muxue gently replied, "No, I don't. She's just a patient nearby. She takes walks every day." I ran into them while walking too. So I helped support the elderly lady and let the old man go buy things. The elderly lady was craving snacks. She insisted on having some, so the old man had no choice but to go buy them. Muxue said with a smile, her eyes following the loving elderly couple. I noticed the complicated emotions in her eyes. I thought of her mother and Pinmian. I hesitated whether to bring it up. In the end, I chose to stay silent. That night, the Royal Jazz Bar hosted a welcome party for the Chanshan. Song Qian organized the gathering. I didn't really want to go, but when I walked into the bar, I found the music had changed into soft blues. Han Jingnian whispered to Yichin. "Surprised, aren't you?" This was specially arranged by Kingen. Turns out Kingen changed the bar style, just so I would feel comfortable coming. Although Song Qian and the others weren't used to it, They accepted it for the sake of the gathering. I ordered a juice and went straight to sit beside the Qianchen, looking at her with a not-so-friendly gaze. The Qianchen looked confused, not knowing what she did to offend me. The Qianchen raised an eyebrow at me, a playful smile on her lips. Mr. Jiang, are you messing with me? I looked innocent. How could I? It's been for years. Just catching up. It's been for years since we met. Time for some small talk. Jiu Qing'an sat beside us, watching me thoughtfully. When did these two become so chatty? Let's have a drink. I enthusiastically poured the Qianchen a full glass of whiskey, but I held only juice myself. I can't handle alcohol, so I'll toast you with juice. The Qianchen glanced at Jiu Qing'an and asked with her eyes, did I offend her? Jiu Qing'an shrugged and gave her a look that said, good luck. Glass after glass. The Qianchen drank the entire bottle of whiskey without flinching. I clenched my teeth secretly. This guy sure can hold her liquor. One kept going and brought out some vodka. The Qianchen swirled the glass, saying, drinking alone is boring. Qing'an, drink with me. Jiu Qing'an immediately became alert. This guy was trying to get her drunk. She definitely had bad intentions. I didn't notice the subtle tension between them. I was still happily pouring drinks. Tonight, I had to make sure the Qianchen got wasted. I held the bottle up, grinning mischievously. Mixing drinks gets you drunk faster, right? I quickly filled the Qianchen's glass. Here, drink up. Keep drinking. I promise this time will be worth it. Of course, I still had juice in my own glass. The Qianchen smiled like a sly fox. Just drinking is boring. How about we play something more exciting? Han Jingnian perked up the moment he heard the word exciting. Sure. What game are we playing? The others gathered around too. I pouted. Don't tell me it's truth or dare again. Han Jingnian smirked. That game's fun. I immediately objected. No way. Last time we played, I totally got screwed. Han Jingnian narrowed his eyes and leaned in toward Yichen. You're not hiding some secret from us, are you? I instantly avoided his gaze, feeling guilty. I actually didn't know his secret about Muxue. But I couldn't tell Han Jingnian. Jiu Qing'an sharply noticed something was off about me. She raised an eyebrow. Really nothing. Come on, are we playing or not? I quickly changed the subject. The Qianchen suddenly changed her mind. Let's play the king's game instead. But let's change the rules. Anyone who disobeys has to drink, and the amount doubles each time. Everyone gasped. How long will that go on for? Han Jingnian and Song Qian exchanged a knowing glance. They were ready to team up and trap someone. Before I realized what was happening, the game had already started. I nervously touched the cards, my heart pounding. Last time I played this game, I was incredibly unlucky. Could I really be the first victim again? I counted there were more than 10 players in the game. So many people playing together. If I really drew the unlucky card, that would be way too unfortunate. The first round began. Jiu Qing'an drew a card. She glanced at it and put it down, with a mysterious smile on her lips. I was too nervous to look at my card. I nudged her with my elbow. What did you get? Jiu Qing'an leaned close to my ear and whispered, King. Her voice made my heart race. I pouted and said, I must have drawn the slave card. Taking the chance, Jiu Qing'an swapped our cards. Han Jingnian immediately shouted, no switching cards. Jiu Qing'an replied confidently, it's just me and my husband's cards together. Got a problem with that? Han Jingnian was speechless. That's some blatant PDA. I switched the cards back again. And when the cards were revealed, I found I really got the slave card, while Jiu Qing'an's card was actually king. You tricked me, I said, glaring at her. Jiu Qing'an grinned slyly. You're just too easy to fool. Everyone cheered. Give the order, give the order. Jiu Qing'an pretended to think seriously. Your king commands you to kiss me. I quickly gave her a kiss on the cheek. No way. Kiss on the lips, on the lips. On the lips, everyone kept chanting. A kiss on the cheek doesn't count. It has to be on the lips. Kiss now, do it. Song Qian was leading the cheer. French kiss. It has to be a French kiss. I gave her a fierce glare. Jiu Qing'an looked like she was waiting for me to make the first move. Hurry up. Why are you hesitating? The others joined in, shouting and laughing. Han Jingnian chimed in too. Yichen, don't chicken out. It's do or die. Be brave and go for it. It's not that I didn't dare to kiss her, but it was just too embarrassing with everyone watching. Jiu Qing'an was getting impatient. She suddenly leaned in and whispered in my ear, if you won't kiss me, Then I'll kiss you instead.